Chapter 4:15. Disperse, the patient's condition has stabilized. Fortunately, we came in time. Otherwise, the outcome would be hard to say. In the ICU, Su Yan's body was full of tubes and instruments. Yi Zichen stood outside the door. Only when he heard Huang Xingmei's reply did he relax. "Thank you so much. If it weren't for you, I really wouldn't know what to do." In response, Huang Xingmei merely smiled and replied, "You don't have to be so polite with me. By the way, it seems that your condition isn't particularly good. Why don't I give you a checkup as well?" He shook his head. Yi Zichen leaned against the wall outside the ward and looked at Su Yan in concern. "I'm fine. I'm really sorry for troubling you to come so late at night. You should go back and rest." "I already said, you don't have to be so polite with me." Huang Xingmei pursed her lips helplessly. Then, she bit her lip and looked at Su Yan, who was in the room, and asked carefully, "Is that girl your girlfriend?" "Yes." Huang Xingmei nodded noncommittally. After receiving this answer, Huang Xingmei's expression changed. However, she still maintained a faint smile as she nodded. "What a beautiful girl. Her dangerous period has passed, so you don't have to worry too much. If there are any problems, call me at any time. There are also doctors on duty in the hospital." "All right, sorry to trouble you." Yi Zichen nodded as he watched Huang Xingmei leave. Just as he was about to enter the ward, a series of hurried footsteps sounded out in the hallway. Yi Zichen let out a soft sigh when he saw who it was. What will come will come. "Uncle Su, get out of my way." Su Qihu pushed him away with force. Not long after he entered the ward, he walked out again and punched Yi Zichen when he saw him. Yi Zichen caught the punch head-on, then took a step back and said apologetically, "Don't worry. Sorry. I've already told Yen that she can't be with you." "She can't be with you? Ha, look at her." Su Qihu glared at Yi Zichen and suppressed his voice to vent his anger. Yi Zichen merely endured it silently and didn't try to explain. He couldn't deny that he had failed to protect Su Yan. You better pray that nothing happens to Yen. Otherwise, I won't forgive you." Su Qihu pushed Yi Zichen once again, causing him to fall onto the ground. Then, he frowned and walked towards the medical center. "Where are you going?" Su Qilong grabbed him. Su Qihu turned around and said with a frown, "Of course I'm going to transfer Lil Yen to another hospital." "Why are you transferring to another hospital at this time? Besides, is there a better place than the First People's Hospital in Ice City?" Su Qilong furrowed his brows and shouted, then patted his shoulder. "You need to calm down." "How can I calm down?" Su Qihu glared and clenched his fists. "Did you see what Lil Yen was like? You told me to calm down, but how could I possibly calm down? Su Yan has already passed the critical stage. It's only a matter of time before she wakes up." Bang. What welcomed Yi Zichen was a furious punch from Su Qihu. Yi Zichen intentionally deactivated Unbreakable Body in order to not injure him. The punch caused a sliver of blood to flow from the corner of his mouth. "You still have the face to talk. If it wasn't for you." Sorry. Yi Zichen continuously apologized. Su Qihu clenched his fist, as if he wanted to hit Yi Zichen again. "Enough." Su Qilong grabbed Su Qihu, who had already descended into madness, and forcefully pushed him backwards. "Go to the smoking area and calm down. I'll talk to Lil Yi alone." When the furious Su Qihu left the hallway, Su Qilong patted Yi Zichen's shoulder with a faint smile, then took out a tissue from his pocket and handed it over. "Thank you." Wiping off the blood at the corner of his mouth, Su Qilong sighed. "Don't blame him. Su Yan is his flesh and blood. Now that she's unconscious, he must have lost control of his emotions." Yi Zichen nodded calmly, then smiled. "I understand. As long as you understand." Su Qilong patted him on the shoulder and said, "Can you tell me, what exactly did you go through, to actually silence?" "Alright, looks like I can't tell you." Su Qilong pursed his lips and lightly smiled. Shortly after, he raised his eyebrows and said, "Then can you tell me, have you seen little Yun recently? At the mention of Su Yun, Yi Zichen's expression suddenly changed. After a while, he calmed down and shook his head. I haven't seen him in a long time, but you don't have to worry. With his personality, he'll be fine. Is that so? Su Qilong nodded. In order to prevent himself from breaking down, Yi Zichen forced a smile. I'll leave Su Yan to you guys. Uncle Chihu will definitely be very angry if I stay here. Alright, leave this to us. Go back and rest well. Yes. Yi Zichen staggered out of the hospital. The moment he left the hospital, tears flowed down uncontrollably from his eyes. That night, Yi Zichen. Hello, I'm new here, Yi Zichen. Zhang Rui, Yi Zichen, tell us your age. You're the latest to arrive in the dorm, so we're just waiting for your ranking. Yi Zichen, 19 Zhuyunbua. Wow, I'm still the youngest in the end. Why? Suyun, F***ck, you're bullying my brother. Do you think you're amazing because you're rich? In terms of wealth, I can beat 80 of you. Suyun, hey, don't try to screw me over. Let's split the bill. By you. The more money you have, the more stingy you are. Kongpeng agreed. Yi, give us a quick death. Zichenji, I was wrong. 2016. Time to end. Creak. Yi Zichen's tightly clenched fist trembled slightly. Whenever he closed his eyes, scenes that he would remember would uncontrollably appear in his mind. Time to end. They really did end. Sha sha, a series of footsteps sounded out in the quiet night. Yi Zichen looked up and saw Wei Chen walk over in a black windbreaker. Boss Yi. Yi Zichen calmed down his emotions, rubbed his temples, then took out a cigarette from his pocket and put it in his mouth with a sigh. How's the situation? None of them suffered any serious injuries. As long as they rest for a while, those brats will be as lively as before. Wei Chen smiled faintly. After so long, there was finally a piece of news that made Yi Zichen happy. Yi Zichen nodded, then clenched his fist tightly. You've started recruiting people from the 3 realms, right? I've already sent a message to the old guys I know. There should be a reply tomorrow morning, Wei Chen replied. Alright, recruit more strong ones. Even if it's a sky immortal, as long as they make a request, I can satisfy them. No problem, I'll do it as soon as possible, Wei Chen nodded. At that moment, Yi Zichen also squinted his eyes and sighed in his heart. Chapter 4:16. The stone fairy's great change. 10,000 flowers bloomed, and 100 birds cried. Su Yan was barefooted, wearing a light red robe, with 2 golden bells hanging from the belt around her waist. She stood in the middle of the beautiful and intoxicating sea of flowers. When she looked around in confusion, she saw a tombstone in the center of the sea of flowers. She didn't dare to look at the words on the tombstone. This scene was truly strange. Su Yan. A soft voice rang out in her ears. It was a mesmerizing female voice, so gentle that even a girl like her couldn't help but perk up her ears, wanting to hear what the other person had to say. Wait. Suddenly, Su Yan shook her head forcefully. She subconsciously glanced at the tombstone, then ran away barefoot. However, no matter how she ran, she couldn't escape the sea of flowers. She couldn't escape the 10-meter radius around the tombstone. Why are you running? Stop talking in my ear. Who are you? Just come out. Su Yan stopped, and the bell on her waist rang out from time to time. Jingle. Suddenly, the crisp sound of a bell rang out in her ears. Su Yan was certain that this definitely wasn't the sound of her bells. When she looked up in shock, she saw a woman standing on top of the tombstone. She was also barefoot, wearing a red robe with bells on it. The only difference was that this woman was much more mature than her. Even women would fall head over heels for her devastatingly beautiful appearance. I'm here. You. Su Yan bit her lip, unable to speak for a long time. The woman tapped the tombstone with the tip of her foot and smiled lightly. Me? What's wrong? Her fingers were somewhat flustered as she continuously pointed at the woman and herself. Soon after, Su Yan's eyebrows smoothed out as she spoke. Then, she straightened her brows and said, I feel like I've seen you before. What a cute child. The woman narrowed her eyes, then floated down from the tombstone and landed in front of Su Yan. She raised her hand and tousled Su Yan's hair, then looked into her eyes and smiled. Aren't I you? You must have guessed it already, so just say it out loud. With that, she returned to the tombstone and smiled. Why are you here? Are you already 20 years old? Who? Yi Zichen let out a sigh, then opened his eyes and stood up. He instinctively reached out to grab the dragon race's secret scripture, but the old dragon god frowned, then put it away. Yi Zichen looked up in confusion. The old dragon god squinted his eyes when he saw the confusion in Yi Zichen's eyes. I don't know what happened to you, and I don't want to know either, but you're too eager for quick success right now, and that's not good for your cultivation. Yi Zichen's expression darkened, then he pursed his lips. How am I eager for quick success? Aren't I still reading this secret tome step by step? Ever since you came here, are you sure you've truly understood and absorbed a single word in this book? The old dragon god tossed the secret tome high into the air, then waved his right sleeve at him. Don't come here in the near future. We'll talk again after you've calmed down. Whoosh. Without waiting for Yi Zichen's explanation, he appeared in his room in the Modern Realms mansion. Yi Zichen couldn't help but sigh when he thought about the old dragon god's words. Perhaps it really was as the old dragon god said, I really am too eager for quick success. Yi Zichen desperately wanted to increase his own strength. He didn't want to feel powerless at a crucial moment, but his heart was truly too messed up. In the past, when he cultivated at the old dragon god's place, his strength would increase, but this time it did not improve. Seriously, Yi Zichen shook his head, then picked up his phone from the bedside table. A total of 99 plus chat notifications caused him to be completely shocked, so he took a look at the chat. It's actually my makeup class. By Hua Fairy. Are we going to be taking lessons here from now on? But why are there only the few of us chatting? Luli Fairy. Maybe the teachers are all busy. Immortality Peach Fairy. Isn't this a Sky Sovereign group? I took a look at the group members just now. The group owner is Sky Sovereign. Rainbow Fairy. Sky Sovereign? Immortality Peach Fairy. Sky Sovereign Nameless, you created this group, right? What do you want to promote in the Heavenly Court this time? Stone Fairy really became prettier. This is all because of you, right? Immortality Peach Fairy was an active member of the Heavenly Courts group, so it was no surprise that she knew Yi Zichen. Yi Zichen looked at the group members. At that moment, there were already 19 members. Most of them were fairies of the Heavenly Court, but one of them caused Yi Zichen's hands to tremble. Mysterious Lady of the Nine Heavens, Queen Mother. Stone Fairy is truly amazing. She actually managed to get a tycoon of this level into the group. Yi Zichen quickly closed the chat group, then clicked on Stone Fairy's name and sent her a flurry of messages. Stone Fairy, you came out. What? I'm meeting up with you, Stone Fairy said in annoyance. At that moment, she was meeting up with a new noble in the Heavenly Court, so she was rather displeased that Yi Zichen interrupted her. However, he was her benefactor, so she couldn't just ignore him. Date? Stone Fairy is actually going on a date? The aesthetics of the Heavenly Court. No, it should be the effects of the makeup and massage lotion. Send me a photo. Ding dong. Yi Zichen's eyes widened when the photo was sent over. Is this still the King Stone Fairy? Her rough appearance from before had already disappeared, while her muscular body had also become slender. Is this really the Stone Fairy who looks like a pretty girl from a humble family? He admitted that makeup could cause a woman to change a lot, but wasn't that a little too much? What's more, how long has it been? The massage lotion couldn't have caused her to change that much, right? Did you get plastic surgery recently? Why did you change so much? The massage lotion you gave me was a bit useful, but it wasn't very effective. I learned pill refinement from old Lord Taishang in the Heavenly Court, so I found some materials in the heavenly court to research a new massage lotion. Heh. The effects of Laonyang's massage lotion are pretty good. Stone Fairy smiled rather proudly, causing the new noble in front of her to fall head over heels for her. Lil Stone, The new noble wanted to say something, but stop. Wait a moment, this new noble seems to be about to confess to me. Stone Fairy chuckled, then put her phone to the side. She put on a gentle expression and blinked with a smile. Go ahead, F***CK? Stone Fairy actually has this kind of ability. But that's good, the greater her change, the greater the reaction in the heavenly court. The fairies in the makeup class group were still chattering nonstop, and most of them were asking when the class would start. It was no wonder that they were so anxious. The main reason was that Stone Fairy had been in the limelight too much recently. She was already the second most discussed topic about female deities, only behind Chang'e Ding Dong. At that moment, Yi Zichen suddenly received a friend request. Chapter 4:17. Queen Mother of the West takes the bait. Western Mother Palace. The Immortality Peach Banquet was about to begin. Logically speaking, the Queen Mother's birthday banquet shouldn't be held at this time. However, as more and more people took up positions in the heavenly court, the Immortality Peach Banquet became a place for immortals to meet. It was similar to a wine party in the modern realm. Seeing that the Immortality Peach Banquet was about to arrive, the heavenly court was extremely busy. Only the Queen Mother of the West sat in front of the bronze mirror and sighed as she looked at her own appearance. Time had left faint traces on her face, and it was undeniable that she was a little old. Compared to the fairies in the heavenly court, there were a few more wrinkles on her face. Everyone had a beautiful heart, especially on occasions like the Immortality Peach Banquet, where she was the star of the show. She didn't want others to steal her limelight, so she wanted to make herself prettier. Coincidentally, she heard about the changes in the Stone Fairy from the other fairies in the heavenly court. She had an impression of the Stone Fairy. She was one of the top girls in the heavenly court. But recently, she had become an existence second only to Chang'e. This was truly shocking. She didn't believe it and even summoned the Stone Fairy to the Jade Pool for a gathering. When she saw the changes in Stone Fairy with her own eyes, her restless heart instantly became even more restless. That was how she found out about the makeup class. I've been here for almost a day. Why hasn't the class started yet? The Queen Mother of the West frowned. Due to the urgency in her heart, she clicked on Heavenly Venerate Nameless without much thought and sent a friend request. Queen Mother of the West took the initiative to add me as a friend. Yi Zichen, who was holding his phone, repeatedly calmed himself down. This was the first time someone so powerful had added him as a friend after being in the Heavenly Court's chat group for so long. Pass. This time, Yi Zichen didn't dare to act dumb and waited for the other party to find him. The moment he received the message, he immediately sent it over. Queen Mother of the West, what can I do for you? Empyrean Nameless, the Heavenly Court has long heard of him. The Queen Mother of the West replied indifferently. She actually wanted to put on some airs, but her heart was simply too itchy. You founded this makeup class? Yes. Yi Zichen replied with a smile. Recently, this sovereign found out about the makeup technique of the locals in a secret place. I spent a huge amount of money to get it for the women in the Heavenly Court. At the same time, prepare to promote it in the Heavenly Court. Heavenly Venerate Nameless is too kind. The Queen Mother of the West nodded in understanding. He had actually obtained it from a resident of a secret place. It seemed that the Heavenly Court could no longer be selfish in the future. In the future, they would have to send more idle officials to the lower realms. However, Tai-Bai Jinxing had been clamoring about getting rid of demons recently, causing the people in the heavenly courts to panic. It seemed that he still had to wait for a period of time. As a member of the heavenly court, this sovereign will not shirk his duty. Yi Zichen spoke so righteously that even he himself was moved. All right, I will remember Sky Sovereign's heart. When Sky Sovereign returns, I will definitely put in a good word for you to the Jade Emperor. The Queen Mother of the West also smiled faintly. She looked at the chat records between the two of them and thought to herself that she should have laid the groundwork. She then cut the pleasantries and said directly, I wonder if you can teach me the Heavenly Venerate's makeup secret technique? Here it comes. Yizichin couldn't help but smile when he saw this. The Queen Mother of the West had added him as a friend for the secret makeup technique. Otherwise, the two of them did not have much interaction. Why would she add him as a friend? The Queen Mother, the supreme existence in charge of the female deities in the heavenly court. If I screw her over, I might be able to get some treasures out of her? However, Yizichin rejected it the moment it appeared. The Queen Mother was not someone that he could screw over as he pleased. If I make the Queen Mother happy, then the benefits I get in the future will definitely not be limited to this. People have to look further in the future. Only by casting a long line can one catch a big fish. Sky Sovereign. The Queen Mother started to get anxious when she did not see Sky Sovereign's reply. Your Highness, don't worry. I just have to sort it out and send it to you. Yizichin smiled. The Queen Mother instantly blushed when she saw the message. Could it be that his desire was too obvious just now? That would damage my image in the heavenly court. Just as she was confused, Yizichin suddenly sent her another message. Your Highness, it seems like I can't send it to you. I promised to start the class when there are 20 people. If I send it to you in advance, then I won't be able to start the makeup class if you leak it or if the other deities find out. Sky Sovereign must be joking. How could I leak it? I can promise Sky Sovereign that it's true. No, Yizichin replied without any hesitation. To be honest, he suddenly felt like teasing the Queen Mother was rather fun. I'm the only one in the entire heavenly court who dares to tease the Queen Mother like that. Sky Sovereign, what do you mean? Are you messing with me? Even Stone Fairy can learn the makeup secret technique, so why can't I? Sky Sovereign, don't forget that you are working in the heavenly court. Fine. Yizichin had already guessed that the Queen Mother would use that to pressure him. However, what could he do? He was indeed working in the heavenly court. Yizichin let out a sigh, then replied helplessly. Stone Fairy can learn the makeup secret technique in advance because she can be my spokesperson in the heavenly court and help me advertise. Is there anyone better than me in terms of advertising? The Queen Mother immediately replied. As long as Sky Sovereign teaches the secret technique to me, then so what if I'm Sky Sovereign's spokesperson? If you want to advertise it, then I'll put a publicity department in the heavenly court for you. I can help you advertise any of Sky Sovereign's activities in the future. Slap. The Queen Mother slapped the blanket. Done. If what the Queen Mother said was true, then he would definitely be able to live like a fish in water in the heavenly court in the future. The heavenly court's publicity department had the support of the Queen Mother. Amazing. I'll help Her Highness sort it out right now. Please wait a moment. Yizichin sent all of the videos and documents that he had prepared earlier to the Queen Mother, then replied. As for the makeup technique, Queen Mother of the West can discuss it with Stone Fairy. I will send you the items you need for the makeup in the near future. If you are in a hurry, you can ask Stone Fairy to test the effects first. No problem. Yizichin nodded with a smile, then licked his lips and asked in a testing manner. I don't know what Your Highness just said. If it really is effective, I can become the Celestial Sovereign's spokesperson in the heavenly court, and I can also set up the Celestial Sovereign's own independent propaganda department. Of course, the prerequisite is that it has to be effective and make me truly beautiful. The Queen Mother replied plainly. Hearing that, Yizichin immediately laughed. Ha ha ha. No problem, Your Highness, just wait and see. At this time, she was already watching those videos, when she saw the magical comparison at the top of the video, and, what are they wearing? It feels so weird, but they look really good. Ding dong. Just as Yizichin put his hand to the side, he saw the Queen Mother send him a picture with a message below. Chapter 4:18. Su Yen wakes up. Yi Zichen couldn't help but laugh when he saw the message. Of course, he wasn't certain that the Queen Mother would ask about the clothing at the start, mainly because he didn't know what the heavenly court's sense of beauty was like. If these weren't mainstream in the eyes of the deities, then wouldn't he just be asking for trouble if he tried to promote it? They're wearing the clothing of this secret location. Your Highness is interested? I can get a few sets for you. It feels very novel, but never mind. The Queen Mother actually did want to wear it, but when she thought about it, it seemed a bit weird if she was the first one to wear it in the heavenly court. What's more, these people's clothing looked very revealing. She didn't have the guts even if she wanted to. Yi Zichen replied plainly. At the same time, the Queen Mother also replied, I'm going to look into these makeup materials. Yi Zichen logged out of social media, then hurried over to the hospital after taking a look at his phone. He was truly worried about Su Yan's situation. Even if he knew that Su Qihu would treat him coldly, he still had to go over and take a look. When he arrived at the hospital, Su Qihu was by Su Yan's side as expected. Through the glass on the door, Yi Zichen could see that he seemed to have aged quite a bit over the night. His serious face was filled with deep worry, while his chin was also covered in stubble, making him look rather dispirited. Dong dong. Su Qihu knocked on the door, then walked out of the room. When he saw Yi Zichen, his expression changed, but surprisingly, he didn't scold Yi Zichen. Go in, I still need to deal with some matters at the military. Without waiting for Yi Zichen's reply, he turned around and left. Yi Zichen looked at Su Qihu's back in shock, then bowed deeply and walked into the ward. At that moment, Su Yen still hadn't woken up. Yi Zichen felt a deep sense of helplessness as he looked at her, whose body was covered in tubes. If he was a bit stronger back then, it wouldn't have ended up like this. The reincarnation of the Yellow Emperor. It sounded like he was really amazing, but why was he being led by the nose the entire time? Wasn't the Yellow Emperor supposed to be an existence that could command the entire world? If he really was the Yellow Emperor, then why was he so cowardly? The people he wanted to protect couldn't be protected, and the people he wanted to protect couldn't be protected either. What was this about him? He always put on a righteous act of wanting to save the world, but his heart was as fragile as a reptile. Was this really what he wanted? Yi Zichen asked himself honestly, but he couldn't explain it either. He sighed and ran his fingers through Su Yan's hair. However, at that moment, he noticed Su Yan's eyelids twitch. Su Yan. He opened his eyes. Yi Zichen looked around the ward blankly. The moment she opened her eyes, a smile immediately surfaced on Yi Zichen's regretful face. Wait for me, I'll call the doctor. Very good. Being able to wake up means that she is completely out of danger. However, since her condition is quite serious, I suggest that she recuperate in the hospital. The doctor outside the ward replied with a faint smile. After thanking him multiple times, Yi Zichen rushed into the room, only to see Su Yen looking at him with tears in her eyes. In an instant, the joy in his heart turned heavy. He knew why Su Yen was crying, sorry. Yi Zichen stood beside Su Yen and lowered his head. He bit his lips and choked with disbelief. That day. Was it really my older brother? Sorry, if it wasn't for me, OL3 wouldn't have gotten involved in this, Yi Zichen replied with a wry smile. However, Su Yen shook her head with a sad smile. You don't have to blame yourself at all. It might have been because of me, Su Yen sighed, then stopped herself. Then, she revealed a faint, wry smile. Yi Zichen, who didn't understand, thought that she wanted to comfort him, so he raised his hand and caressed her hair with a smile. All right, let's not talk about this anymore. All right, let's not talk about this anymore. How are you? Are you hungry? I'll get you something to eat. No need, Su Yen shook her head with a smile. Su Yen smiled lightly and shook her head. Then, she turned her head to look out the window. In her mind, the woman's words in the sea of flowers kept replaying. Some strange words that she didn't understand. I feel really tired. Can you go out and let me rest for a bit? If you need to be busy, then you don't need to stay here with me. Just get Kiki to come. Yi Zichen, who was standing in the ward, suddenly stiffened. He subconsciously looked towards Su Yan and nodded, "All right. All right." After he left the ward, he stood in front of the door and looked at Su Yan for a long time. "As I thought, she's complaining, right?" Yi Zichen sighed and left the ward silently. What he didn't know was that Su Yan's hand suddenly glowed with a faint green light. When her hand brushed past the area, the wounds on her body actually began to gradually heal. "She really didn't lie to me," Su Yan muttered softly. After a long while, the green light on her hand disappeared. She tilted her head and looked out the window once again. Nobody knew what she was thinking. After Yi Zichen bought the cosmetics for the Queen Mother of the West and sent it over, he went straight to the tea house. After the great battle in the other world, Wei Chun was completely energized. He no longer led the members of the organization to idle around. When he arrived, he saw that the members were all sitting cross-legged on the ground, their bodies flashing with various colors of light. Just as Wei Chun, who was sitting at the door, was about to speak, Yi Zichen placed his finger by his lips to signal him to be quiet. "Don't disturb their cultivation," Yi Zichen said with a low voice, then walked into the room on the side. Wei Chen also walked in behind him. "Boss Yi, why did you come here?" "I don't know where to go," Yi Zichen smiled wryly. He took out a cigarette from his pocket and put it in his mouth, then handed it back to Wei Chen. "Do you want one?" "I'll just smoke my own, I'm not used to other cigarettes." Wei Chen also lit a cigarette for himself. When he put down the lighter, he coincidentally saw Yi Zichen's dejected face. "Boss Yi, you actually don't have to be like this." Yi Zichen moved his lips. As he watched the cigarette slowly burn, he couldn't help but think back to the scene in the other world. He felt like he was wavering. If it wasn't for him, the people around him wouldn't have to endure everything. "Old Wei, I want to ask you a question." After a long time, Yi Zichen, who was looking at the burning cigarette, suddenly looked up. Wei Chun immediately acted like he was all ears, then put out the cigarette in his hand and nodded solemnly. "Please ask." When the cigarette finished burning, it seemed to have also burned away all of Yi Zichen's hope. He put out the cigarette in the ashtray with lifeless eyes, then said in self-mockery. Chapter 419. Collapse. For the first time, Yi Zichen started to doubt himself. He had wanted to become stronger several times before, but he felt powerless many times, yet, in the end, becoming stronger became an excuse for him to escape. However, he did not doubt his own existence even then. But this time, Yi Zichen was truly shaken after experiencing everything. Could it be that none of this would have happened if it wasn't for him? In order to prevent such a situation from happening in the future, he wanted to give up everything, including his life. "Boss Yi, what nonsense are you saying?" Wei Chun stood up from the chair and shouted anxiously with a blush. "What do you mean existence is a mistake? Everyone's existence has a reason. What's more, you are the Yellow Emperor." "I know, I'm the Yellow Emperor." Yi Zichen, who had been suppressing himself, suddenly roared. He scratched his head with force, while his eyes were filled with terrifying savagery. "It's because I'm the Yellow Emperor that these troubles came to find me. But what's the result? I have the title of the Yellow Emperor's reincarnation, but I don't even have a 10,000th of the Yellow Emperor's abilities. What is this? Tell me, what exactly is this?" Yi Zichen stood up from the chair and pointed towards the distance outside the window. "Do you know who was the one who fell to the devil yesterday? It was my university classmate. Do you know how old they were? They were only in their 20s. Dead. They all King died. I killed them with my own hands. I killed them all with my own hands." Yi Zichen slowly raised his hands, while his eyes gradually turned red. He clenched his teeth and forced back his tears, then smiled wryly. "My hands should have been used to protect them, but what happened in the end? Do you know how I felt when they looked at me and smiled at me before they died? They didn't want me to blame myself, but in my eyes they were mocking me. They mocked me for not having the ability to save them. Yi Zichen crazily vented the pain in his heart. Wei Chen suddenly turned silent when he heard that. He was indeed unable to understand, but he could feel that Yi Zichen was truly in pain. I'm really scared. I'm scared that one day in the future, my friends, my family, and even the strangers around me will disappear from my side one after another. I'm afraid that I'll use my hands, this pair of powerless hands, to personally dispose of those innocent people. In order to prevent this situation from disappearing in the future, it would be better to find the Yellow Emperor's reincarnation in the next life. I've had enough. Suddenly, Yi Zichen's palm glowed with golden light, then he slapped it hard against his forehead. He might as well just die and put an end to everything. Wei Chen, who was standing to the side, didn't expect him to make such a move. By the time he wanted to stop him, it was already too late. What a weak little fellow. Boss Yi, you're really embarrassed like this. Within the room, Xiang Jie suddenly appeared beside Yi Zichen. She grabbed Yi Zichen's arm and pressed a finger to the center of his eyebrows. Spirit concentration scroll, descend. Xiang Jie patted his shoulders softly, then pressed Yi Zichen back onto the chair. You're under too much pressure. You need to calm down. Sister Xiang narrowed her eyes and turned her head to face Wei Chen. What are you looking at? White Tiger's clone can't even take care of a person. Don't you feel ashamed? Go back and send a message to White Tiger. Tell him to transfer 30% of his power to you. You can't control the situation right now. I understand. Wei Chen nodded silently. Then he looked at Yi Zichen, who had already closed his eyes. I'll leave him to you to take care of. Don't agitate him. No need for you to worry about that. Hurry up and do what you should be doing. After pushing Wei Chen out of the room, Xiang Jie sat down beside Yi Zichen and pinched his cheek. Why are you getting weaker and weaker with each life? Seriously, there are so many things to worry about when you get old. AI, you're so worrisome. Yi Zichen finally woke up half an hour later. The moment he opened his eyes, he saw Xiang Jie's face was practically stuck to his, while she stared at him. Xiang Jie, you're awake. You don't want to commit suicide now, right? Xiang Jie smiled faintly. Yi Zichen couldn't help but blush when he recalled what happened earlier. He apologized. Sorry, I had an emotional breakdown just now. Don't apologize to me. Apologize to your family and your dead friends. Great, you want to die and end everything. How can there be such a good thing in this world? Right now, you are not carrying your own life. You have to live for those who died, understand? Xiang Jie said in a lecturing tone. Yi Zichen, who sat beside her, continuously nodded like a primary school student. I understand. Got it. I'll live for them. That's a good boy. Xiang Jie rubbed his hair, then stood up from the chair, grabbed his arm, and walked out. What? Yi Zichen looked at her in confusion. Xiang Jie immediately raised her eyebrows in annoyance. What do you think? Didn't I take you to see that treasure when you became an Earth Immortal? What, I forgot. Oh, Yi Zichen nodded, then licked his lips and smiled wryly. I think I shouldn't go. Even if I go, it'll be a waste. Xiang Jie, stop pointing at me. It's happening again, isn't it? Little guy, I think you're born to be a pessimist. Just now, you were so confident that you would live for them, and now you're starting to feel sorry for yourself again. Alright, don't say any more. I'll go, okay? Yi Zichen shrugged helplessly. Xiang Jie smiled when she saw Yi Zichen's expression. That's a good boy. With that, she grabbed Yi Zichen's arm and smiled. Close your eyes. Big sister will bring you on a treasure hunt. Whoosh. Xiang Jie let go of Yi Zichen's arm, then clapped her hands. All right, open your eyes. He slowly opened his eyes. He had just opened his eyes and was still not used to the darkness. However, he felt that they were in a deep cave. This is the place where you said there's treasure? Of course. Sister Xiang smiled faintly, raised her hand and snapped her fingers. Virum. The surrounding walls of the cave suddenly ignited into flames, illuminating the entire cave. At that very moment, Yi saw a sword stabbed into the round table in the center of the cave. The sword seemed to have been around for a very long time, but there were no traces of rust on it. What's more, Yi could feel a faint aura of an emperor through the blade. This treasure. Yi suddenly froze, then turned around in shock. Xiangjie also squinted her eyes and smiled, then pushed him forward. Chapter 420. The Xianyuan sword, the Yellow Emperor, belonged to my glory. Yi looked up at the sword stuck in the platform, then couldn't help but walk towards it. This was his glory. Sister Xiang, who was standing behind him, maintained a faint smile. Seeing this scene again, how nostalgic! He slowly walked forward. The blade that was stabbed into the round platform should be the weapon of the Yellow Emperor, the Xianyuan sword. Before he knew it, Yi had already arrived in front of the blade. He lowered his head and looked at the blade that was inches away from him. He raised his hand. Have you really decided to pull the sword out? All of a sudden, Yi heard a voice in his ear. He subconsciously turned his head, only to see that Sister Xiang was looking at him with a chuckle. She did not speak at all. Moreover, the speaker was a man. Am I hearing things? He shook his head and touched the hilt of the sword again. Have you really decided? Pull it out and hold it tightly in your hands. Who's talking? Yi looked up and shouted. Suddenly, a middle-aged man in a green robe appeared in front of him. There was an ancient look in his eyes. At the same time, he opened his mouth again. Are you going to pull it out? Have you really decided? The man's hand brushed past the hilt of the sword. He looked at it indifferently and a faint sadness appeared on his face. You're the Yellow Emperor. Yi looked at the man in front of him in shock. Don't you think so? No. It's just that I've never seen it before. I'm a little shocked. Yi waved his hand frantically. He really couldn't imagine that the Yellow Emperor would appear in front of him. But this divine artifact belonged to him or to them. Why did the Yellow Emperor keep asking him this question? What's there to be shocked about? When the time comes, you will be me. The Yellow Emperor smiled, then rubbed the hilt of his sword with his fingers, then squinted his eyes at Yi. The Xianyuan sword is a divine artifact that has borne the weight of countless glories. However, its body was also stained with countless amounts of blood, some of which belonged to its enemies, and some of which belonged to the innocent. My reincarnation, have you really decided? Bear its glory and at the same time bear its sins. The Yellow Emperor looked at Yi plainly, then said calmly, That's right. I'm not sure. Yi shook his head, then his gaze suddenly turned sharp. But I want to become stronger. The Xianyuan sword can make me stronger. He didn't want to repeat the tragedy of that day. He didn't want to watch helplessly as the people around him fell in front of him. Perhaps becoming stronger was a very general term, so what he wanted to do now was to protect the future. Even if this sword was stained with the blood of sinners, he did not care. Is that so? Let me test your determination. The Yellow Emperor smiled faintly and tapped the space between his eyebrows. Go, let me see your determination to become stronger. Whoosh. Yi who'd originally been in a cave, suddenly appeared in the middle of a battlefield. Rather than calling it a battlefield, it was more like a one-sided massacre. Jili tribe, leave no one alive. Standing at the very front was the Yellow Emperor, who had gone berserk and was clad in armor. In his hand was the Xianyuan sword, kill. Blood flowed down the blade and dripped onto the ground, regardless of whether they were women or children, whether they surrendered or not. The Yellow Emperor was like an executioner as he stood in front of the defenseless people. He disregarded their cries and screams as he raised his hand and chopped off their heads. It was a terrifying coldness. Not a single one was left. That wasn't the only scene. Many other similar scenes happened after that. The Yellow Emperor was always at the very front. His sword killed both the enemies and the innocent Jili tribesmen. Meanwhile, Yi Zichen was like a bystander as he watched everything unfold before his eyes. It was just as the Yellow Emperor had said. Xian Yuan's sword had glory, but it also had countless sins. For some reason, Yi Zichen went from being unable to bear it at the beginning to calm down at the end. There were far too many innocent people in those scenes, but he didn't feel like the Yellow Emperor did anything wrong. The more he killed, the less likely the people around him would be harmed. He was indeed a merciless executioner, but he protected his own tribesmen, and the land he wanted to protect. Merely being invincible in terms of aura was the lowest form of fantasy. Could a few words protect the people he wanted to protect? No. Then I'll make my heart strong and use my strength to prove everything. Whoosh. When Yi Zichen returned from those scenes, he had changed. The most obvious change was in his eyes. At that moment, there was no longer any hesitation in his eyes. He had already confirmed what he wanted. What he needed to pay after obtaining all of that. He never lacked courage. What he lacked was a blow to the head that would wake him up. Now that the blow had already appeared, there was no longer any reason for him to hesitate. It seems like you've already made your choice. My reincarnation. Protect your future. The Yellow Emperor, who stood beside the Xianyuan sword, smiled, then silently disappeared from the stage. Yi Zichen bowed towards the figure, then turned around and looked expressionlessly towards Xiangjie, who was standing outside the stage. Come back. Yi Zichen's calm yet unquestionable tone caused Xiangjie to raise her eyebrows. She stretched lazily, then smiled, as expected of you. Should I say, as expected of you? Are you ready? If you bring me out, there will inevitably be a bloodbath. At that time, the enemies you will encounter will not be this group of small fries. Are you really ready? Are you not afraid anymore? What's there to be afraid of? Yi Zichen smiled. I'll just kill anyone who gets in my way. Yi Zichen nodded slightly, while the smile on Xiangjie's face grew brighter. Then, she turned into a sword spirit and entered the Xianyuan sword. At that moment, Yi Zichen also raised his hand and grabbed the Xianyuan sword, which bore the weight of countless glory and sins. Whoosh! The ground shook. Rocks continuously fell from the ceiling of the cave, but Yi Zichen stood proudly in place without a hint of fear, and looked at the blade in his hand. Hey, the new Yellow Emperor's reincarnation. Although we've already met, I still have to introduce myself. Xianyuan Xiang, please take care of me in the future. Xiangjie's laughter sounded out from the sword. Yi Zichen nodded, then replied, Please take care of me in the future as well. I look forward to your guidance as well. However, there is one thing that I must remind you of. Chapter 421. Soul Pearl Yuan and Xianyuan Sword Return. When Yi Zichen returned to the tea house in the modern realm, Xianyuan's scabbard, which had been lying on the bedside table in his apartment, struggled to float up from the table as if it had sensed something. The scabbard sliced through the air. The instant the scabbard and blade merged into one, a dazzling light that only those with spiritual energy could see soared into the sky. Claps of thunder filled the sky, and the might of an emperor, enough to make all living things sink and sink, flowed out of Yi Zichen's sword. Buzz, the Xianyuan sword in his hand, violently trembled as the surrounding spiritual energy constantly surged into the blade. Gradually, a huge spiritual energy vortex formed in front of the blade, and the sword in his hand trembled even more violently. Yi Zichen gripped his sword tightly. At that moment, he already had no path of retreat, only this sword and his heart remained. After a long time, the intensity of the sword's absorption of spirit energy gradually decreased, and a smiling woman wearing white satin slowly walked out of the sword. I've finally absorbed half of the spiritual energy that I've lost over the years. This young woman caused Yi Zichen's expression to change slightly. He lowered his sword and looked at her. Xianyuan Xiang? TSK, your aura really is different now that you have the Xianyuan sword. When I was in the cave, I was afraid that the old man would come out and scold me. Now that I'm here, I still dare to call him that. Pa. She knocked Yizichin on the head, then crossed her arms and twitched her mouth. Call her big sister Xiang properly in the future. Now you're calling her Xianyuan Xiang. You're still far from it, kid. Oh. Yizichin replied plainly, then raised Xianyuan's sword, which had already become one with its sheath and blade, and said to Xianyuan Xiang, I can't just carry it around like this. This isn't ancient times. I can't pretend to be a hero. Xianyuan Xiang let out a sigh, then grabbed Yizichin's finger and bit down hard. What are you doing? Bind it with blood, idiot. He squeezed out a bit of blood from his bitten finger, then the Xianyuan sword trembled twice, then burrowed into Yizichin's forehead. Dong. The moment it reached his forehead, the Xianyuan sword was knocked out again. Xianyuan Xiang looked at him suspiciously and raised her eyebrows. You have other divine artifacts on you? Are you talking about that? Yizichin asked softly. Yuan. The one origin spiritling had been hiding between his eyebrows this entire time. The moment it emerged, it seemed to be on high alert. After confirming that there were no enemies nearby, it intimately flew over to Yizichin's neck and began to sway back and forth. Soul Pearl Yuan. Xianyuan Xiang let out a low cry. She looked at the green bead in astonishment and smiled helplessly. Should I say, as expected of you? You actually managed to find Soul Pearl Yuan. It seems like it was even more damaged than I was back then. It took me a lot of effort to reassemble the Xianyuan sword. As soon as she finished speaking, she flicked Soul Pearl Yuan with her finger. Hey, come out. We haven't seen each other for so long, we should have a fight. Hearing that, Yizichin was speechless. Are these two divine artifacts so bad? They don't reminisce about the past, but they immediately fight. However, Soul Pearl Yuan did not react at all. It merely paused for a moment when Xianyuan Xiang touched it, then hid behind Yizichin's neck. Strange, this isn't like Yuan's personality. Xianyuan Xiang raised her eyebrows. Back when the Yellow Emperor was still alive, these two divine artifacts would fight whenever they met to determine who was the strongest divine artifact. However, due to their different abilities, they fought back and forth, and were unable to determine a victor. Come over here. Xianyuan Xiang reached her hand behind Yizichin's neck and grabbed Soul Pearl Yuan. Soul Pearl Yuan tried its best to break free, but Xianyuan Xiang's hand was like a cage, causing it to be unable to move at all. It's actually so weak. Xianyuan Xiang's eyes twitched. She suddenly had a premonition, and continuously tapped with her left hand spirit guidance. All of a sudden, Soul Pearl Yuan's surface glowed faintly. Not long after, a cute little boy who looked like he was carved out of jade appeared above it. The boy looked around anxiously. When he found Yizichin, he immediately went over. As I thought, Xianyuan Xiang smiled. What is it? Yizichin raised his hand to comfort the little boy, then looked up towards Xianyuan Xiang. Yuan should have been completely destroyed in the battle back then. This seems to be a new artifact spirit formed after Soul Pearl Yuan descended into the world. Xianyuan Xiang walked over with a giggle. When the little boy saw her, he immediately snuggled closer into Yizichin's arms. I really didn't expect him to actually disappear. But that's good, it's a sort of release for him. But this new artifact spirit is so cute. Xianyuan Xiang pinched the little boy's cheek, then blinked towards him. Little fellow, don't be so annoying like that guy when you grow up. Call me Xiangjie when you see me in the future, okay? No reply. The little boy stuck close to Yizichin and ignored her. Xianyuan Xiang let out a soft sigh, then knocked him on the head. I'll hit you if you don't listen to me. Xiangjie. The little boy actually spoke. That was the first time Yizichin heard Yuan speak after being with him for so long. Xianyuan Xiang instantly revealed a bright smile when she heard the boy's childish reply. She patted his head gently, then turned around with a meaningful smile. I actually got to hear Yuan call me Xiangjie in my lifetime. I can't believe I can hear Yuan call me Sister Xiang in my lifetime. Yuan, do you think I won in the end? There was a hint of sadness in his tone. Even though they were enemies in the past and fought whenever they saw each other, he didn't care. No matter what, they were comrades who fought alongside each other. All right, since this little fellow took over the spot between your eyebrows, then I'll take over the spot on your right arm. Xianyuan Xiang hooked her finger towards Xianyuan's sword, causing the blade that made all living things submit to her to disappear into Yi Zichen's right arm. However, a tattoo of a sword blade appeared on his arm. It's pretty much the same as Soul Pearly Yuan. You can directly breathe it out when you need it. Of course, if you can't breathe it out in time, your right arm can also use 1% of Xianyuan Sword's power to block your opponent's attack. Originally, I came to protect the spot between your eyebrows, but since Yuan went, his ability can help you become immune to mental attack. Of course, that's on the premise that he has comprehended it to a certain level. Yi Zichen nodded, then smiled at the little fellow in his arms. Don't worry. Chapter 422. Chapter 422. Old Lord Taishang wants treasures within the old dragon god's subdimension. The mirage of the azure dragon on Yi Zichen's body, who was sitting cross-legged on the ground, became more and more solid. Boundless dragon power surrounded his body, and even the old dragon god couldn't help but sigh in amazement at the purity of the dragon power. Is he really human? Dragon soul, condense! Following Yi Zichen's shout, the mirage of the azure dragon behind him became even more solid. At that moment, one could practically see the patterns on the dragon's body, while the whiskers by his mouth also fluttered in the wind. Roar! A loud dragon roar sounded out from the dragon's mouth. At that moment, Yi Zichen also stood up from the ground and chucked the dragon race's secret scripture into the air. It's about done. There are some things that I need to go back and think about. This is the 5th time you condensed your soul, right? The old dragon god asked. Yi Zichen nodded. But condensing the soul 9 times is truly too difficult. I tried to condense the soul 6 times just now, but I had no idea how to do it at all. You condensed the soul 5 times in less than a month. Your talent is truly shocking. The old dragon god did not hold back his praise towards Yi Zichen. The old dragon god didn't hold back on his praise for Yi Zichen. In response, he merely nodded without any change in his heart. You seem to have experienced something again. You are much more mature than before. Yi Zichen nodded with a smile, then stretched lazily. Send me out. Zoom. When Yi Zichen, who was lying on the bed, opened his eyes, he saw Xianyuan Xiang lying on top of him in an extremely embarrassing position, while her bright eyes carried a hint of curiosity. Where did you go just now? Can you get off of me first? Yi Zichen pointed at their embarrassing positions. Xianyuan Xiang instantly revealed a secretive smile, then pinched Yi Zichen's cheek. You're getting shy? Yi Zichen flipped over and laid on the bed. At that moment, Xianyuan Xiang was only wearing a thin veil, which faintly revealed her wonderful curves. What's more, her posture was also very alluring. Fortunately, Yi Zichen had enough self-control, and since he had gotten used to it after so long, so he ignored her. 10 yuan. I'm here. The little boy, $10, suddenly stood up from the bed. He glanced at the floor and realized that $10 was playing with Lego and Transformers, which children loved to play with. At this moment, he was no longer as timid and shy as he was at the beginning. Instead, he exuded a lively aura. Yes, it had already been half a month since he'd drawn the Xianyuan sword. During this time, Yi Zichen's group of 3 stayed together. The 2 of them seemed to be playing the role of Lu Qing. However, the difference was that Xianyuan Xiang liked to tease him. Lu Jing, he really didn't know how she was doing now. Sister Xiang, look at me. Aren't I good? 10 Yuan jumped onto the bed and pulled Xianyuan Xiang. She raised her eyebrows and looked at the building blocks in front of her, swish, swish, swish. She moved her fingers a few times, and the number of building blocks she had piled up was several times higher than the 10 pieces. "Little guy, you still have a long way to go. Go have fun. Sister Xiang is still the best." The little boy opened his mouth and blinked as he looked at the building blocks that were even taller than him. Then, he jumped off the bed and started to play by himself. "Why are you making him play with building blocks every day? Isn't that going to affect his cultivation progress?" Xianyuan Xiang told Yi Zichen to buy a pile of building blocks for 10 yuan the next day. In the past half a month, 10 yuan didn't do anything other than playing with building blocks. What cultivation progress does he want? Xianyuan Xiang twitched her mouth, then pointed at her chest. "Big Sis is the one who attacks, he's the one who defends. Playing with building blocks can improve his concentration, which has a good training effect on his spirit." "So it's like that." As expected, having an elder at home was like having a treasure. Yi Zichen felt like the pressure on him had lessened by a lot with Xianyuan Xiang. Xianyuan Xiang could explain a lot of things that he didn't understand, and teach him the things that he didn't understand. "Oh yeah, you didn't tell me what you were doing just now." Xianyuan Xiang flipped over, causing the veil behind her to roll up, revealing her long and beautiful legs in front of Yi Zichen. Yi Zichen helped her pull out the veil, then covered her legs with it. "I went to a subdimension. I went to a dimensional space and practiced some body-refining techniques there." "Little fellow, I'm starting to suspect that you're gay. How can a normal man be like you? There's such a beauty lying beside you, and even her legs were exposed just now, yet you still covered me up," Xianyuan Xiang continuously retorted. Xianyuan Xiang continued to retort, but Yi Zichen merely rolled his eyes at her, and let her slowly experience it for herself. Poor child. Yi Zichen shook his head lightly, as if Xianyuan Xiang had already determined that Yi Zichen was gay. She brushed the hair on his forehead with her fingers, then spoke once again. "There were quite a bit of opportunities. Subdimension, body tempering secret scriptures. Bring me over to have a look next time." "You can't go," Yi Zichen immediately replied. "He told me to go over. What are you doing following him? You're so stupid, I'll back you up. Are you sure that what he gave you is a good secret? F***CK, just beat the shit out of him and make him give you his strongest body tempering secret. That'll save so much trouble." Xianyuan Xiang continuously winked. Xianyuan Xiang continuously winked at Yi Zichen. Hearing her words, Yi Zichen didn't want to hurt her. Beat the shit out of him. The old dragon god might even be able to beat the two of us with a sneeze. She even wanted to beat him up. However, when Yi Zichen thought about this older sister's offensive nature, he could only nod with a faint smile without replying. "Look at yourself, I'm doing this for your own good." Xianyuan Xiang glared, then chucked the phone from under the pillow. "Hey, someone called Old Lord Taishang wants to add you as a friend. I took a look at your groups just now, the ones in the Heavenly Court and the Underworld. I don't want to know how you got in touch with them. But let me remind you, you're someone from the Rogue Immortal region, so I suggest that you don't get too close to these people." Understood. It was clear that Xianyuan Xiang wanted to remind him that the relationship between the three realms wasn't that harmonious. If they found out about his identity, then it might cause unnecessary trouble. However, the source of his current profits were all in the three realms. If he cut off contact with them, it's fine to be more careful. Yi Zichen clicked on the friend request list, and saw that it was Tai Bai Jinxing's friend request at the very top. It wasn't the first time this stubborn geezer had deleted him and then added him. Yi Zichen didn't know why he added him again. Except Sky Sovereign, this old man was a bit impulsive just now. I hope Sky Sovereign won't take offense. Old Lord Taishang immediately sent a message the moment he verified the message. Yi Zichen was rather shocked that the geezer actually admitted his mistake. "I'm not that petty," Yi Zichen replied plainly. Yi Zichen replied plainly. Old Lord Taishang immediately sent another message over. Chapter 423. A helpless choice. Rewind time to 3 hours ago. Master, now that the pill has formed, are you sure you want to use the samadhi true fire to shorten the time? The boy guarding the pill furnace frowned. He had been refining pills with old Lord Taishang for tens of thousands of years. It could be said that he was second only to old Lord Taishang in terms of pill refining in the heavenly court. The pill in the furnace had already taken shape, and it would definitely come out after 3 days of warm refining. However, old Lord Taishang wanted him to use the samadhi true fire to shorten the time. If he used the true fire now, it might cause the furnace to explode. The materials in the furnace were all rare treasures. If it exploded, he would feel sorry for his master even though they weren't his materials. Cut the crap, I told you to use the samadhi true fire, so do it. Do you think you can teach me a lesson already? Old Lord Taishang raised his eyebrows. The boy quickly shook his head and replied with a bitter smile. Whatever you say, I'll do it the way you say it. Zap! The flame in the furnace became brighter and hotter. The bottom of the furnace also became red. Old Lord Taishang's immortal spirit sense had been observing the situation of the pill in the furnace. After refining pills for hundreds of thousands of years, how could he not know that using the samadhi true fire now was practically courting death? If he wasn't careful, he might cause the furnace to explode. If he had enough time, he wouldn't do this even if he was beaten to death. However, the Immortality Peach Feast was just around the corner, and it would start soon. If the pill didn't come out, would he have to go empty-handed? The Queen Mother had already said that the effect of the face-retaining pill wasn't as good as before. It wasn't that the effect was weaker, but that the Queen Mother had eaten too many, and her body already had antibodies. This time, he purposely upgraded the face-retaining pill, making it more difficult. Chance of the furnace exploding, before he could calculate the chance of the furnace exploding. Boom! A monstrous sound suddenly rang out from the alchemy room. Taishang Laojun immediately responded. He pulled back the boy who was controlling the samadhi true fire in front of him with his left hand and quickly set up a forbidden spell in the alchemy room with his right hand. A fire lotus rushed into the sky. Many people in the heavenly court couldn't help but shake their heads when they saw this fire lotus. It seemed like old Lord Taishang had developed a new pill, and the person to be rewarded at the Queen Mother of the West's birthday banquet would be him again. As for the reason why these immortals thought that way when they saw this scene, it was because, who would believe that old Lord Taishang would cause a cauldron explosion while refining pills? Master! It exploded! The boy stuttered from behind old Lord Taishang. He raised his hand and slapped the boy's head. I don't need you to tell me that. I also saw the furnace explode. As he spoke, old Lord Taishang looked at the situation in the alchemy room, his heart bleeding. It was one thing for the cauldron to explode, but it also destroyed his alchemy room. There were still many of his painstaking efforts in here. Before this, he had even considered that, if the furnace really exploded, he would use the treasured pills here to deal with it, damn. However, he did not expect that the power of the pill furnace explosion this time would be so great. Just the impact of the energy just now might even be able to turn an early-stage human immortal into ashes. The boy rubbed his head, covered his nose, and used a spell to disperse the thick smoke in the alchemy room. Master, what should we do now? The Queen Mother's Immortality Peach Feast is about to begin. At the Immortality Peach Feast. Immortality Peach Feast. Old Lord Taishang was about to go crazy. If it wasn't for the Queen Mother's frequent Immortality Peach Feasts and frequent consumption of age-halting pills, he would not have needed to upgrade his pills. No, if someone was to blame, it was that Sky Sovereign Nameless. If it wasn't for the fact that he said he had a treasure to give to the Queen Mother as a gift, he would not have given up on the pills. He was halfway through refining and started over again, which delayed his pill production. But what did he get in return? Broken stockings. He even swindled a few hundred bottles of pills from him. Master, A fairy from the Queen Mother's side has come to invite you to the Immortality Peach Feast. A young boy appeared outside the alchemy room. When he saw the situation, he immediately blinked and looked at his senior brother with a dumbfounded expression. Shoo! The senior brother put his finger to his lips, signaling the boy to stop talking. At this time, old Lord Taishang also took out a cigarette from his pocket and tossed it into his mouth. A small flame appeared between his fingers, and he lit it up. Tell that fairy that I already know. How about this, you go with her first, I'll be right there. Yes, master. The two boys left the alchemy room at the same time. Old Lord Taishang scratched his beard, then set his gaze on Yi Zichen's phone. There's no other way, I can only try from Sky Sovereign, that's why the conversation just now happened. Yi Zichen revealed a faint expression of helplessness when he saw old Lord Taishang's message. It seems like old Lord Taishang still doesn't believe that the stockings I sent are that treasure. But that's fine, he used so many pills to exchange for a stocking that was worth 10 odd yuan, it was indeed a bit of a loss. Since he doesn't like it, then I'll just give him another treasure. If it really doesn't work, then I'll go to his jewelry store to get a diamond ring or something. Women all like shiny things, and diamonds aren't too bad of a material. Old Lord, wait a moment. I'll go and get you a new treasure right now. I wonder how long Sky Sovereign will take? Old Lord Taishang replied urgently. The Immortality Peach Feast had already begun, and the fairies from the Queen Mother's side had already rushed him more than 3 times. He didn't have much time to waste. About 2 hours. There should be a lot of traffic in Bingqing at this time, so Yi Zichen's 2 hours was a conservative estimate. Celestial Venerable, please don't tease this old man. The Immortality Peach Feast has already begun. How could I possibly have 2 hours to wait for you? Then there's nothing I can do. If you have time, then wait for me for 2 hours. If you don't, then use the stockings. Or rather, if you don't trust the stockings, then use your own pills. You've been in the heavenly court for so long, how could you not have any? Yi Zichen didn't believe that old Lord Taishang didn't have any precious pills. However, when old Lord Taishang saw the message, F*CKU, wasn't he just saying that to piss me off on purpose? He did want to use his precious pills as a gift, but all of them were blasted into smithereens just now. Sky Sovereign, this old man will remember this grudge. Old Lord Taishang smashed his phone to the side angrily. At the same time, a servant sent a message that the Queen Mother's fairies had come to invite him over. Old Lord Taishang clenched his teeth, then returned to his room and took out the black stockings that he had nearly thrown away. I'm really going to give this to the Queen Mother? Old Lord Taishang felt like his head was about to explode. However, he really couldn't take out any rare treasures, and he couldn't go over empty-handed. Never mind, I'll take this. Chapter 424. The Xiao family arrives. Yi Zichen smiled wryly and shook his head when he heard old Lord Taishang's words. This old man was really... He would always get angry for no reason. Could it be that his hormones were in disorder? Tsk. As Yi Zichen thought naughtily, he put his phone to the side, then heard Xianyuan Xiang tease him. Black stockings? Are you talking about what I'm wearing? When he turned around, he saw that Xianyuan Xiang had unknowingly put on black stockings. Her face instantly turned red, and she quickly jumped off the bed. That's enough. With that, Yi Zichen left the room, but he couldn't help but think to himself. What on earth is the Immortality Peach Feast like? Jade Lake. As far as the eye could see, there were countless heavenly court immortals standing together, chatting and laughing. There were also quite a number of people sitting on the ground, holding poker cards in their hands and playing Fight the Landlord. There was no lack of onlookers behind them. Old Lord Taishang followed the celestial maiden to the Jade Lake with a calm expression. The moment he showed his head, many celestials surrounded him. Old Lord, looks like the main character is you again. Pagoda-bearing Heavenly Kingly, who was wearing golden armor, smiled. Thunder God, who had his hair combed back, also walked over with a smile. That's very normal. The Queen Mother always favors old Lord Taishang the most. When I arrived, I saw a dazzling fire lotus blossoming over at old Lord Taishang's side. It seems like old Lord Taishang is making a big move again. As old Lord Taishang listened to the surrounding deities' praises with a smile, he secretly cursed Yi Zichen to death. This swindler! Achoo! Yi Zichen, who had just arrived at Maintaining Beauty Corporation's headquarters, felt his nose itch and sneezed. He rubbed his nose, then saw the supervisor of the company's security walk over. Chairman Yi. The fact that Yi Zichen was the top leader of Maintaining Beauty Corporation had already been exposed, and the employees had seen his portrait no less than 100 times. As soon as he entered the hall, the head of the security department recognized him. Yes, President Xiao is at the company, right? I came to see her. Yi Zichen nodded plainly. The security supervisor's expression instantly changed. Noticing his gaze, Yi Zichen immediately frowned. What's wrong? What happened? The head of the security department shrunk his neck and said, the imposing manner of a superior was completely revealed. I can't explain it clearly here. Let me bring you up to have a look. In front of Xiao Yumei's office, when Yi Zichen entered this floor, he saw the employees outside subconsciously glance towards her office. Not long later, angry curses sounded out from outside. Chairman Yi. The employees outside all greeted him. However, Yi Zichen frowned and spoke in an unfriendly tone. What's going on? Why are the people inside quarreling? The person who was arguing just now was clearly a man. Yi Zichen looked at the head of security with a frown. The existence of the security department was to prevent situations like this from happening, but he didn't even see a single person from the security department on this floor. President Yi, it's President Xiao who told us not to interfere. We don't dare to disobey the leader's orders. The head of security replied with a coy smile. Yi Zichen gave him a look to tell him to leave, causing the head of security to quickly run away as if he had just been pardoned. The other employees also shrunk back and continued to work. Xiao Yumei, don't get too cocky. Within Xiao Yumei's office, a man in a suit and leather shoes wore an expensive Vacheron Constantine watch. He continuously used that hand to point at Xiao Yumei, who sat calmly at the desk, and roared. I didn't come here to beg you. Letting you return to the Xiao family is a gift from the heavens. But you actually rejected it for this crappy company? The man's eyes flashed with a sinister light. Xiao Yumei merely closed the notebook on the desk indifferently, then raised her eyebrows. Enough? Are you talking to me? Are you talking to me? The man squinted his eyes with a sinister look. Shouting, don't you think that your words are very laughable? Xiao Yumei said plainly with an undisguised mocking smile. The man snorted. Laughable? Xiao Yumei stood up from the chair, picked up a cup of water from the desk, and walked over to the water dispenser to pour herself a cup of water. Telling me to return to the Xiao family, and even telling me to give up all of the company's shares. This is the old man's idea? This is purely my idea. Shouting squinted his eyes and snorted. Now that I'm taking over the Xiao family, I'm letting you return because I pitied you. The price is all of your company's shares. What? You don't think it's worth it? Z's, I didn't think that the Xiao family would actually be taken over by you. It seems like the Xiao family has truly declined. Xiao Yumei did not hide her mocking towards him at all. Xiao Yumei didn't hide her ridicule at all. Then, she pointed at the door behind the man. Your wishful thinking might fail. The door is behind you, please help yourself. As soon as she finished speaking, Xiao Yumei ignored her and returned to her desk. Hearing that, Xiao Ting's sinister expression instantly turned sinister. He tore off his tie and threw it on the floor. Xiao Yumei, it seems like I have to teach you a lesson. Just as he was about to walk towards Xiao Yumei, however, before he even took a few steps, bang. At that moment, Xiao Ting suddenly felt a kick on his back. The huge force caused him to fall to the ground, and his head smashed onto Xiao Yumei's desk. When he turned around, He saw Yi Zichen standing beside him with his hands in his pocket. "Brat, you came over to show off your intelligence? Who the F***ck are you? You actually dared to kick me. Do you know who I am? How could I possibly know who you are?" Yi Zichen shrugged speechlessly. "I really don't understand why there are always people who like to ask others if they know who they are. Could he be some sort of public figure?" Yi Zichen grabbed Xiaoting's collar and dragged him to the door of the office, then kicked him out of the office. Then he pointed at the employees outside. "Tell the security department to take this grandson away." Yi Zichen slammed the office door shut and ignored Xiaoting's shouts. He couldn't be bothered to deal with people like that. "Why did you come?" Xiao Yumei smiled happily. Yi Zichen raised his hand and caressed her hair. "I missed you, so I came over to see you. Who would have thought that I would encounter this sort of situation? AI, who is that grandson? He's jumping around like that, yet you aren't telling the security department to take care of him?" Xiao Yumei's expression changed when Xiaoting was mentioned, then she smiled wryly. "He's my second uncle's child. Come over and chat." "Why are you chatting like this?" Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows in disbelief. However, when he noticed Xiao Yumei's expression, he immediately shrugged. "All right, if you don't want to say too much, then I won't ask." Chapter 425. Red Packet Server at the Xiao household in the capital. Yi Zichen had done some research on the capital during the short period of time he was there, and found some information about the Xiao family. It was one of the top-ranked families in the capital. The family had been doing business for generations, and was a rather powerful family. Yi Zichen wasn't too surprised when he found out that Xiao Yumei was from the Xiao family. During their interactions, Xiao Yumei had hinted that her identity wasn't normal more than once. Now that he heard her say that she was from the Xiao family, it only confirmed his thoughts. The Xiao family is a very old-fashioned family. Since I was rather rebellious when I was young, and my father didn't have much status in the family, I was kicked out, Xiao Yumei smiled wryly. Actually, she had already tried her best to be concise, but if she really talked about the details, it wouldn't be that simple. That truly is the Xiao family's loss. With your talent in business, I feel like you can definitely lead the Xiao family to greater height. I heard that the Xiao family has fallen recently, Yi Zichen smiled. Xiao Yumei retorted with a nod. Yeah, my cousin came over just now to ask me to go back. Yeah, my cousin came over just now to ask me to go back. What's the price? Yi Zichen could tell from the way that grandson died that he wasn't anything good. He definitely had to pay something to ask Xiao Yumei to return. He wants me to give him the company, Xiao Yumei replied with a smile. Hearing that, Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. He doesn't have much strength, but his appetite is huge. Seriously, then what do you think? I definitely won't give him the company, so I won't explain the details. However, I actually do want to go back to the Xiao family. Xiao Yumei bit her lips. Xiao Yumei bit her lips. Yi Zichen was not surprised by her answer at all. She was different from him. The reason why he didn't want to return to the Gu family after finding out about his background was because he had never lived there before. However, Xiao Yumei was different. She had lived in the Xiao family when she was young, so she still had feelings for them. It was understandable that she wanted to go back. Then you don't want to give up the company, and you want to return to the Xiao family. Do you have any plans? Xiao Yumei shook her head. No, I'll just take it one step at a time. Don't tire yourself out too much. When Yi Zichen held Xiao Yumei's hand, he felt the hand in his pocket continuously vibrate. He took out his phone and saw that people kept tagging him in the group. He opened his social media app and saw that the group that tagged him was the Red Envelope group that he had created. The members of the group were all people who were close to him. He scrolled through the chat history. Erlingshin, why do I feel like I've seen that thing that old Lord Taishang gave me before? Monkey King, it does seem familiar. Canopy Marshal, Monkey Bro, Yang Jian, where did you two see it? How come I've never seen it before? Old Lord Taishang said it was called silk stockings? Yu Lao, have you seen it before? Moon Lord, I've never seen it before either. But when I checked the material of the stockings, it was too bad. Canopy Marshal, Old Lord Taishang actually didn't send any pills this time. Old Pig is a bit confused. But it seemed like the Queen Mother of the West really liked the stockings. It seemed like Old Pig wouldn't get a share of the 10,000-year-old Saturn peach this time. Monkey King, idiot, why are you panicking? I'm here. Canopy Marshal. Oh dear bro, Lil bro's luck is all on you. Yu Lao, I hope Great Sage can help this old man steal one as well. Monkey King. No problem. Erling Shin, you guys went off topic. Weren't we talking about the black stockings? Monkey King, you've been there as well. Don't you think that the black stockings, Monkey King, only idealism? After that was Yang Jian's and the monkey's crazy tagging. Yi Zichen could tell from their chat history that old Lord Taishang had given the black stockings to the Queen Mother. More importantly, the Queen Mother loved the black stockings a lot, which caused them to discuss it in the group. This stubborn geezer, he got mad at me when I told him. Yi Zichen cursed in annoyance. However, Yang Jian's and the monkey's continuous tagging made him a bit speechless. Alright, I'm here. Erling Shin, bro, you're not being nice. Monkey King. Yeah, you clearly know that I, old son, don't get along with that geezer, yet you still helped him. Yu Lao, what's going on? Canopy Marshal, I don't know +1. God of Fortune, I don't know +10086. Erling Shin, you guys don't know, right? Old Lord Taishang's black stockings were given to him by my bro Yu Lao. No wonder, I can't think of anyone other than Sky Sovereign that could get such a rare treasure. Only idealism, Sky Sovereign, do you think that the black stockings will sell like hotcakes in the heavenly court? Yi Zichen, Yu Lao, I'll send you a price list later. Yu Lao, alright. Erling Shin, only idealism, don't change the topic. Bro, we're sworn brothers. You clearly know that the Immortality Peach Garden is about to open, yet you didn't give the treasure to me? You didn't look for me. Yi Zichen explained helplessly. I just happened to need old Lord Taishang's help that day, so I sent him the black stockings. Don't worry. Has the Immortality Peach Feast ended yet? If it hasn't, then I'll send you guys some good treasures, alright? Canopy Marshal. It hasn't. I, Old Pig, haven't gone up yet. Sky Sovereign, hurry up and send it. Erling Shin, I haven't gone up yet either. Bro. Good bro. Monkey King. I, Old Son, haven't gone up yet either. Yu Lao AI. God of Fortune, AI. Since the two of them sighed, it was clear that they had already sent their gifts. Thus, only the three of them remained in the group. Yi Zichen squinted his eyes. Since the Queen Mother accepted the black stockings, Yi Zichen smiled faintly. Let's play. Then let's have fun. You three, go and see how big the Queen Mother's feet are, and what her cup size is. Tell me after you see it. 37 B+ cup. Yang Jian directly replied on the screen the moment he sent the message. After he replied, he intentionally said, "Don't think too much into it." "Oh yeah bro, hurry up, it's our turn soon." That's a blatant lie. Yang Jian had developed a good eye for women from Yi Zichen when he was in the lower realm. He was able to analyze all the women in front of him. Sure, wait a moment. With that, Yi Zichen set his gaze upon Xiaoyumei. What are you looking at me for? My feet are 36 and my cup is C+. Even if I take them off, the Queen Mother won't be able to wear them, Xiaoyumei said helplessly. Yi Zichen shook his head with a smile. It's not about you. I don't want you. We still have such a big company. Chapter 426. The Queen Mother accepts the gift. Are you sure that you can find what you want in the company? This isn't a department store. Xiaoyumei asked in disbelief. She had just called Li Shuang and told her to ask in the company. Hey, you don't understand, right? I can definitely get it. Let's make a bet if you don't believe me. Yi Zichen smiled confidently. If such a huge company can't even find a set of lingerie, then it can only be said that the company is too pure. Xiao Yumei sighed helplessly when she saw Yi Zichen's confident gaze. Alright, even if you can find these in the company. But you want to give these to the Queen Mother in the heavenly court to wear? Can you not mess around like this? No matter what, she's a deity, right? So what if she's a deity? Deities are still women. Yi Zichen smiled faintly. Approximately 10 minutes later, a knock sounded out from the office door. Come in, Xiao Yumei replied plainly. The door to the office was pushed open. Li Shuang walked in with a red face while holding 2 pieces of black lingerie and a pair of red high heels. Director Xiao, this is what you want. Li Shuang only said half of what she wanted to say. At that moment, she was already panicking to death. Director Xiao actually told her to ask for these from the employees in the company. In order to protect Xiao Yumei's authority in the company, Li Shuang specifically asked for them in her own name. She smiled wryly when she thought back to the weird gazes of the employees when they looked at her. But asking for these in the middle of the day, Li Shuang subconsciously looked towards Yi Zichen's direction, causing a bad image to surface in her mind. Are they all so open? Ahem, just leave these here. Go do what you need to do. Xiao Yumei naturally noticed Li Shuang's weird gaze. She glared at Yi Zichen, then punched Yi Zichen after Li Shuang left the office. Now you're happy. Lil Shuang definitely thought too much. What an unhealthy child. But let her think what she wants. So what? It's not like we weren't in the office. Don't say it. Xiao Yumei covered Yi Zichen's mouth, while her white face had already turned bright red. Yi Zichen chuckled, then opened the red packet server. Yang Jian and company were about to explode in the group. Erlang Shin, bro, are you done yet? It's going to be my turn soon. Canopy Marshal, Sky Sovereign, hurry up. I can't hold on much longer. Monkey King, yeah, why are you so slow? If she doesn't come back, I, old son, will directly give the Queen Mother the honey peaches from Huagua Mountain. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows with a faint smile as the 3 of them urged him to hurry up. Don't worry, the treasure will be here soon. Scan. Send. Messages immediately appeared on the screen that the 3 of them had received their red packet. Not long after, the 3 of them muttered in the group. Erlang Shin, bro, you're pretty amazing. There's even a line of drooling emojis. Monkey King, what are these rags for? Just 3 ropes? What use could it be? Canopy Marshal, what the hell is this red thing? Yu Lao, did the Sky Sovereign give out a new treasure? I'm going to take a good look later. God of Fortune, +1. Yi Zichen's lips curled into a faint smile as he sent them a message. The group is about to get lively. These are all great treasures. When the time comes, you guys can send these over to the Queen Mother of the West. I guarantee that you guys will receive no less benefits than the old Lord Taishang. Erlang Shin, alright, it's my turn now. Brother, talk to you later. The others all chimed in. After Yi Zichen read through all the messages in the group, he couldn't resist his curiosity, so he directly activated the Great Tao of Heaven's Birth and set his sights on the Immortality Peach Feast. Yang Jian, don't tell me you're going to do aerobics this time. The Queen Mother, who was sitting beside the Jade Emperor, smiled faintly. In the past, Yang Jian's life was really tight. During the Queen Mother's Immortal Peach Banquet, he did aerobics for her more than once. He also received the title of Aerobics Prince. How is that possible? This time, I am going to give Queen Wang a bra. What? The people of the Heavenly Court couldn't understand this foreign language, so Yang Jian didn't waste any time and directly took out the bra he had just snatched and handed it over. When Shi Wangmu spread out the treasures, her face immediately turned red. It seems like these are the treasures that the Sky Sovereign sent me, the ones that the women were wearing. As this treasure was rather private, she quietly put it away. Soon after, her face was filled with a satisfied smile. Not bad, Yang Jian is thoughtful this time. This is what I should do. Yang Jian replied with a smile. Yang Jian replied with a faint smile. With that, he called Canopy Marshal and Monkey over. Our gifts are a set. Please accept them, Queen Mother of the West. Yi Zichen gave them a look, causing the Canopy Marshal and the Monkey King to immediately walk up and hand over the high heels and the treasures made from 3 ropes. Ahem! The 2 brothers did not care about the Queen Mother's face as much as Yang Jian did. They did not hide the 2 treasures at all. The high heels were fine, but the 3 ropes, you're all thoughtful. The Queen Mother forced herself to keep a straight face, then let the 3 of them leave after praising them. When many deities saw the high heels and the 3 ropes, they immediately thought about the black silk stockings that old Lord Taishang gave them. The gazes of some male deities turned a bit weird as they wondered if they should get a set for their wives as well. I wonder where they got them from. I'll definitely ask the people who gave them the gifts after the Immortality Peach Banquet ends. Yi Zichen, who was watching the Immortality Peach Banquet from an omniscient view, smiled brightly. I didn't expect the Queen Mother to actually accept them. I wonder how she'll feel when she puts them on. What are you smiling like an idiot for? Xiao Yumei pushed him. Only then did Yi Zichen return to his senses. Just as he was about to tell her about the situation in the heavenly court, he smelled something unusual. It's very familiar. Yi Zichen twitched his nose and stood up from the sofa, then walked around the room. When he walked to the spot with the heaviest smell, he looked up and saw that the ceiling of the office was continuously leaking out the purple mist from the slimy monster's mouth. Yi Zichen knitted his eyebrows, then quickly walked in front of Xiao Yumei and grabbed her hand. What is it? Go stay in Li Shuang's office for a while. Don't come back to this office before I find you. Although she didn't understand why Yi Zichen would tell her to do this, he definitely had his reasons. Xiao Yumei lightly nodded and said, Okay, I will wait for you at Li Shuang's place. With that, Xiao Yumei left the office. At the same time, Yi Zichen locked the office door tightly. When he looked up, he noticed that the purple mist was already leaking out more and more. I don't know what's going on, but we'll know once we go in and take a look. Whoosh! He took out the Otherworld Pass from his treasure chest. Gradually, a faint glow appeared on top of the pass. Chapter 427. The Broken Barrier Between the Modern Realm and the Otherworld. Whoosh! A spatial gate appeared in the Otherworld. Yi Zichen walked out and couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. What's this? The purple mist was so thick that it was about to solidify into liquid. However, Yi Zichen was unable to find any slimy monsters. The Otherworld and the Modern Realm were parallel worlds. The reason demonic energy appeared in Xiao Yumei's office was very likely because there was too much demonic energy there, which caused it to seep into the modern realm. What Yi Zichen needed to do now was to find the source of the demonic energy leak and repair it. Yi Zichen pushed open the door to Xiao Yumei's office and walked up the stairs. 10 odd slimy monsters were tearing at the ground on the roof, and had already created a small opening. Yi Zichen's pupils contracted when he looked through the small opening. It really is the modern realm. 10 odd slimy monsters also noticed Yi Zichen's existence. They crawled towards him with their limbs dripping with green liquid. Break! Yi Zichen roared, causing the slime monsters to disintegrate and disappear from the space. They're actually opening the barrier between the modern realm and the modern realm. Just as Yi Zichen was thinking about how to repair it, a huge hole suddenly appeared in the wall of the building, and a pair of huge hands reached towards Yi Zichen. Yi Zichen subconsciously raised his right hand. Ding! A clear sound of collision sounded out. At the same time, Yi Zichen also called out softly, Xian Yuan. A sword filled with boundless power appeared in his hand, and Xian Yuan Xiang stood next to the sword. What a disgusting smell! Xian Yuan Xiang pinched her nose. She pinched her nose, then looked towards the gigantic monster outside the hole in the wall and called out to Yi Zichen. Don't worry, Yi Zichen. Hey, you can't be thinking of using me to chop that guy, right? I don't want to, it's disgusting. The huge monster was nearly 20 meters tall, and a black liquid continuously flowed down its body. The liquid was like the mud in the sewers and gave off a disgusting stench. Not only him. Yi Zichen smiled faintly, then stood at the edge of the hole and looked down at the dense amount of slimy monsters crawling on the ground. The density of the slimy monsters was so dense that even people without trypophobia would feel their scalps tingle. I can't take it anymore. I can't take it anymore. Xianyuan Xiang only took a single glance, then turned her head back. At the same time, she grabbed Yi Zichen's arm and shook it. Master, I don't want to kill those monsters. They look so disgusting. Yi Zichen raised his hand and caressed her hair, while a gentle smile covered his face. That's not up to you. As soon as he finished speaking, his gaze changed, and he narrowed his eyes as he snorted. Let's go. Release your sharpest side and lend me a hand. Swoosh. Without any hesitation, Xianyuan Xiang jumped down from the roof. Her face was filled with displeasure, but she still followed him and jumped down. At the same time, she kept forming hand seals. Sharp blade burn. The Xianyuan sword in his hand instantly turned fiery red, and there were faint flames above it. Burn them to death if you can, but don't use me to kill them. Xianyuan Xiang continuously muttered behind him. Yi Zichen nodded, then swung his sword in a circle in the air. Flame slash. Virum. A scorching wave of flames descended from the sky, causing all of the slimy monsters to disappear wherever the flames passed. In less than half a minute, there were no longer any slimy monsters within 10 meters of Yi Zichen. 3 minutes later, all the slime monsters in the area had been killed. Only the giant demon remained in this world. It's fortunate that Laonyang activated the flames to the max, otherwise, this brat might really use me to kill them. Before she could let out a sigh of relief, she saw Yi Zichen charge towards the huge demon with Xianyuan's sword in hand. She couldn't help but retch when she saw the huge demon. When she thought about how she was going to kill that monster, Yi Zichen chopped down on the huge demon's leg without any hesitation, causing the monster's leg to instantly fall onto the ground not far away. Dong. The one-legged huge demon knelt down on one knee, while its purplish-red eyes shone with a terrifying light. Then, it let out a furious roar. Whoosh! A strong wind blew past. Yi Zichen stood on the ground with a smile and felt the power of the wind, human immortal level. Yi Zichen smirked, then retracted Xianyuan's sword back into his arm. Hey, what are you doing? Xianyuan Xiang raised her eyebrows in shock. Yi Zichen turned around and gave her a bright smile. Hey, didn't you say that you didn't want to kill this monster? Didn't you say you didn't want to kill this monster? Then I'll kill it with my bare hands. With that, Yi Zichen stomped on the ground and charged towards the huge demon like a bolt of lightning. Bang! Yi Zichen's fist smashed onto the huge demon's head. The huge demon roared angrily, then slapped Yi Zichen. You're too slow. Bang! Yi Zichen kicked the huge demon's face once again. All of a sudden, the huge demon's eyes shone with an intense purple light. Then, his body also gradually shrunk until he became a monster of around 2 meters tall. His body shrunk, but his strength increased. The smile on Yi Zichen's face grew brighter as he felt the pressure that the huge demon gave him. Come! Yi Zichen hooked his finger towards the shrunken huge demon. The huge demon immediately leapt over with one leg. Yi Zichen raised his arm to block the attack. The huge force caused Yi Zichen's arm to feel a bit numb. You're quite strong, but if that's all you've got, then you're going to die. Dong. Yi Zichen turned around and kicked the huge demon's stomach, instantly sending it flying 10-odd meters away and crashing into a wall near the street. The huge demon roared angrily, then charged over once again with bloodshot eyes. Seriously, I was looking forward to it. Yi Zichen lowered his head as he stood on the spot. He did not even look at the troll, and merely dodged the troll's arm, then punched the troll's stomach with all his might. Bang! A powerful aura passed through Yi Zichen's body like an air cannon. Dong! The huge demon fell onto the ground powerlessly, while Yi Zichen crushed its head with a stomp. Purple mist seeped out from the huge demon's head and fused with the purple aura ocean of the otherworld. Seriously, disappointing. Yi Zichen shook his head. At that moment, a spatial gate appeared in the otherworld. The person in front was Wei Chen, whom Yi Zichen hadn't seen for a long time, and the normal members of Tribulation. You seem to be a bit slow. I already dealt with this big guy, Wei Chen shrugged. Wei Chen faintly shrugged his shoulders. He was completely stunned as he looked at the enormous creature on the ground. Immediately, he raised his eyebrows and said, "Boss Yi, why are you here?" Chapter 428. To ask for help. When Wei Chen arrived at the company with Yi Zichen and saw the broken partition, he knitted his eyebrows tightly. "What do you think?" Yi Zichen glanced at Wei Chen. It could be said that he was completely helpless in this situation. "Boss Yi, can you tell me what happened just now?" Wei Chen raised his head and asked. "Of course, no problem." He gave Wei Chen a brief account of what he had just seen, including some of the more important details in detail. After listening to all of this, Wei Chen's brows were tightly knitted together. "So that's how it is. What's wrong? Is it troublesome?" Yi Zichen frowned. He didn't like this sort of expression the most. It was as if trouble was coming to find him. "It's not troublesome at all. I just need to use ordinary immortal spiritual energy to repair it. I just didn't expect these abyssals to have evolved to the point where they could digest and absorb this layer. Actually, before I came here, I saw nether demonic energy appearing in many places. How about this, Boss Yi? Just do what you need to do and leave these to me," Wei Chen said indifferently, but from the look in his eyes, it was not as simple as he made it out to be. But since he didn't want to say it, Yi Zichen wouldn't ask. He didn't want to take the initiative to cause trouble. Of course, if trouble really came to him, he wouldn't be afraid. Yi Zichen patted his shoulder with a smile. "Then I'll have to trouble you. If you need any help, just let me know." "No problem." When he arrived at Li Shuang's office, he saw the two women sitting together looking at clothes and bags on the internet. "You're back." Yi Zichen glanced at the interface on the laptop, then raised his eyebrows with a smile. "That's right. You two are really something. Instead of doing your job properly, you actually started to look at shopping websites." "What? Are you going to fire me?" Xiao Yumei smiled. Yi Zichen raised his hand and pinched her cheeks when he saw how cute she looked. "You already know the answer." Yi Zichen tousled her hair, stretched lazily, and said, "Don't worry about me. I still have other things to deal with. I'll look for you when I'm free." Xiao Yumei's expression darkened, but she still smiled and nodded. "All right, then you can get back to work. I'm sorry. Once I've settled everything, I'll definitely spend more time with you." He stretched out his hand and pulled her into his embrace. She smiled and shook her head. "I know, don't worry. Now that the company is thriving, even if you want me to go out, I don't have the time." Yi Zichen raised his chin proudly. Seeing her expression, Yi Zichen shook his head, then left after chatting a bit more. Little did he know that the moment he left, Xiao Yumei's exquisite face became dejected. She sighed softly and walked to Li Shuang's side. She pulled the notebook over. Although her gaze was on the clothes and bag, her heart was filled with sadness. "I have a feeling that the distance between us is growing further and further apart. But all I can do is make myself walk a few steps faster so that you won't forget." After returning to the mansion, Yi Zichen directly went to his bedroom. As soon as he entered the room, he locked the door and called Xianyuan Xiang out. "Did you have something you wanted to say to me at that place just now?" "Ugh, you could tell even that?" Xianyuan Xiang stretched lazily, then pointed at the phone in his pocket and said, "But before that, shouldn't you take care of things on your side?" Yi Zichen took out his phone in confusion. Only then did he notice that his WeChat was already displayed as 99+. When he clicked it open, he saw that most of the messages were from the Red Packet server. "Canopy Marshal, did you guys get the news? Old Lord Taishang, Got it. It's that drive that's been supporting Tai Bai for so many years. After Yang Jian told him that news, he might really be ruthless. Erling Shin, it's my fault. Monkey King. I did send the news, but even if it's the lower realm, it'll be decided by that geezer Jade Emperor, right? God of Fortune, why didn't I get it? Yu Lao, you're not a combatant. Erling Shin, what's the point of looking for you when you're trash with negative combat abilities? Old Lord Taishang, it was a good immortality peach banquet, but it ended up like this. It seems like Tai Bai Jinxing really couldn't hold it in anymore. Otherwise, he wouldn't have said something like that. Yi Zichen was a bit confused when he saw the messages in the group. Even though he had read them from start to finish, he didn't understand what happened in the middle. Shouldn't the Heavenly Court be holding the Immortality Peach Banquet right now? Why did they? Has the Immortality Peach Banquet ended? What are you guys talking about? Yi Zichen sent the message with a look of confusion. The other people in the group immediately started to talk, especially Old Lord Taishang. Sky Sovereign, I'm so sorry. It's my fault for not believing you. Old Lord Taishang was clearly talking about the black silk stockings. Since Yi Zichen wasn't a petty person, he felt that it was already over. What he was curious about was the content of their conversation in the group just now. Let it all go. What were you guys talking about in the group just now? Sigh. Yang Jian sighed. Bro, you don't know. The gifts for the Immortality Peach Banquet have pretty much all been given out. Normally, the Queen Mother would ask us what we want. Logically speaking, we naturally want the Immortality Peach Banquet. But that geezer Old Lord Taishang. He asked the Jade Emperor to send troops against the demons, the monkey replied. That geezer Tai Bai Jinxing is truly bold. He actually said something like that in that sort of situation. Isn't he trying to force the Jade Emperor to abdicate? We all received Tai Bai Jinxing's message. It shouldn't be just us. The other generals should have received it as well. In the message, Tai Bai Jinxing asked us to lend him a hand. Canopy Marshal also replied in the group. Yu Lao also spoke up after that. Just like that, the Immortality Peach Banquet ended early. The Jade Emperor waved his sleeves and left angrily, while the deities all returned to their manners. Sending troops against the demons was a huge matter. As the highest leader of the Heavenly Court, the Jade Emperor naturally had a lot of things to consider. However, Tai Bai Jinxing's attempt to force the Jade Emperor to abdicate forced him into a desperate situation, so it was no wonder that he would leave. However, Tai Bai Jinxing's experience and hatred towards the demons was something that no one in the Heavenly Court could compare to. It was understandable that he would be so desperate. Yi Zichen couldn't help but shake his head. How is Tai Bai Jinxing now? Chapter 429. Tai Bai and the Jade Emperor within the cloudy palace of the Golden Arches. An oppressive atmosphere filled the palace. The annoyed Jade Emperor chased all the servants away, leaving only him and Tai Bai Jinxing in the palace. After a long while, the Jade Emperor stood up from his chair with a frown. Tai Bai, were you forcing me back at the Immortality Peach Feast? Tai Bai Jinxing lowered his head, then bowed and asked for permission. Jade Emperor, please send out your army to slay the demons. Tai Bai. The Jade Emperor suddenly shouted. He quickly walked in front of Tai Bai Jinxing and looked at him solemnly. I know you have a grudge against the demon race, but you're forcing me. Jade Emperor, please send out your army to slay the demons. Tai Bai Jinxing spoke up once again. The Jade Emperor let out a long sigh and nodded. Tai Bai, do you really think that I don't dare to touch you? Don't be too arrogant. I have to consider sending out my army to slay the demons. You can't convince me with just a few words. Jade Emperor, please send out your army to slay the demons. This is ridiculous. The Jade Emperor roared angrily, then shouted towards the heavenly soldiers outside. Men, capture Tai Bai Jinxing and send him to the heavenly prison. Anyone who dares to come into contact with him during this period of time will be stripped of their celestial position, and will never be hired again. Understood. The heavenly soldiers replied in a trembling voice, then dragged Tai Bai Jinxing outside. However, even at this moment, Tai Bai Jinxing still did not beg for mercy at all. He continued to shout at the Jade Emperor in a sonorous voice. Jade Emperor, please send out your army to slay the demons. Bang! The Jade Emperor pushed the celestial wine and fruits onto the ground. Slay the demons. Of course he wanted to slay the demons, but the problem was not that simple. Tai Bai Jinxing continuously urged him. Even a clay figurine would get angry, and he was the Jade Emperor. All of a sudden, who dares to spy on this sovereign's palace? The Jade Emperor raised his head abruptly, and his sharp spiritual sense instantly spread out from his body. His probing was so detailed that he could even detect the molecules in the air clearly. Yi Zichen, who had been using the great Tao of Heaven's birth to observe the situation, quickly turned it off, as expected of the Jade Emperor. His aura was so strong that he was speechless. Just now, he felt as if he had been caught by him. Yi Zichen let out a long sigh to calm himself down, then picked up his phone and replied in the group. Something happened to Tai Bai Jinxing. The Jade Emperor was furious and sent him to prison. Boom. Instantly, the red envelope server exploded. Erling Shin, brother, don't joke around. The Jade Emperor actually sent Tai Bai Jinxing to prison? Monkey King, glad to hear it. Canopy Marshal, that's a bit unbelievable. The Jade Emperor and that old man are almost in the same boat. I, old pig, always thought Tai Bai Jinxing was the Jade Emperor's lover. God of Fortune, do you dare to say that in front of Tai Bai? Zhu Beiji, F***ck off. Yu Lao, how did things turn out like this, old Lord Taishang? Only idealism, where did Sky Sovereign get this information? Naturally, I saw it with my own eyes, Yi Zichen replied indifferently. The people in the group were stunned again. Didn't Sky Sovereign's words mean that he was using his immortal spiritual consciousness to probe the soaring Heaven King Palace? Just how gutsy did he have to be to actually do that? More importantly, the seals of the soaring Heaven King Palace could be said to be the most complicated and sensitive. Even a small gust of wind would attract the attention of the guards outside. What's more, the Jade Emperor is in the soaring Heaven King Palace. Did Sky Sovereign probe just because he said so? Is he stronger than the Jade Emperor? The Jade Emperor is an immortal king. Don't think too much. The Jade Emperor also felt my probe, but he didn't catch me. Yi Zichen replied indifferently in the group. You guys better not mess with the Jade Emperor in the near future, and don't even think about going to see Tai Bai. The Jade Emperor said in the soaring Heaven King Palace that if anyone dares to go and see him, then he will strip them of their celestial position. If you guys don't believe me, then the Jade Emperor will send someone to inform you later. The moment he sent the message, an announcement appeared in the Heavenly Court's chat group. Jade Emperor's decree. Tai Bai Jinxing was spoiled and disrupted the Immortality Peach Feast. Furthermore, he did not listen to instructions and offended his superiors multiple times. Now, Tai Bai Jinxing will be sent to the prison to repent. If he sincerely repents, then he will be dealt with leniently due to his many achievements in the Heavenly Court. If he does not repent, then he will be stripped of his celestial position and kicked out of the Heavenly Court. Also, any deities that come into contact with Tai Bai Jinxing during this period of time will be stripped of their celestial positions and kicked out of the Heavenly Court, never to be hired again. The moment the message was sent out, the members of the Heavenly Court's chat group exploded. Tai Bai Jinxing was someone that stood above everyone else. He was the number one person by the Jade Emperor's side for several tens of thousands of years, and the deity that the Jade Emperor trusted the most. But this time, the Jade Emperor actually wanted to cripple him. All of the deities looked at the message in shock, but did not dare to say anything in the group. This was no longer something that they could gossip about in the group. If they said anything wrong, then something huge would happen. Hee hee. At that moment, Tai Bai Jinxing suddenly laughed coldly in the group. However, it was merely a cold laugh, and there was no other reply after that. The people in the group thought that they would be able to see a catfight, but there was still no reply even after 15 minutes. When they looked at the members of the group, God of Thunder, I'm not seeing things right? Tai-Bai Jinxing left the group. All of a sudden, all of the members in the group were shocked. Tai-Bai Jinxing left the group? Does he want to break ties with the Jade Emperor? Everyone knew that the Jade Emperor had given this group to Tai-Bai to manage in order to promote the harmonious development of the Heavenly Court's employees. The Jade Emperor, who was in the cloudy palace of the Golden Arches, also looked at the screen in shock. He had wanted to send Tai-Bai a message to ask him why he left the group, but noticed that Tai-Bai Jinxing had deleted all of his friends. Tai-Bai, you really went overboard. What he did not know was that Yi Zichen had invited Tai-Bai Jinxing into the Red Packet server the moment he left the group. Ahem, a new person has entered the group to send red packets. Ding dong. It was just a joke, but what was unbelievable was that Tai-Bai Jinxing actually sent it. You received Tai-Bai Jinxing's red packet. Unbreakable Body, Level 2, X1. Yi Zichen was a bit stunned when he saw the notification. His Level 1 Unbreakable Body was something that he got from Yang Jian. He had wanted to buy Level 2 from the treasure shop, but he noticed that it wasn't there. He didn't expect that he would actually get it from Tai-Bai Jinxing. Yi Zichen subconsciously glanced at Tai-Bai Jinxing's red packet. When he saw the contents of the red packet, he was instantly shocked. All sorts of valuable secret scriptures, celestial pills, magic treasures, spiritual talismans in the treasure shop. Is this geezer crazy? He sent out all of his wealth, right? The other members in the group also kept asking if Tai-Bai Jinxing had sent the wrong message. However, what they didn't expect was Chapter 430. Chain Reaction. As for how deep the hatred between Tai-Bai Jinxing and the fiends was, not even the immortals in the heaven, who had been with him for hundreds of thousands of years, could truly know. However, from the moment he fell out with the Jade Emperor and took out all his belongings, one could feel his determination to get rid of demons. He couldn't take it anymore. The countless days and nights that tormented him were like nightmares that kept waking him up from his dreams. When he woke up and looked at the empty room, he could only sigh in loneliness. Tai-Bai, this needs to be considered at length. I have never come into contact with the Devil Clan, but since they can fight against the God Clan, they must be a huge monster. Even the few of us in the group will find it difficult to fight against them. Old Lord Taishang frowned slightly. They were all elders of the Heavenly Court, and they had a good relationship in private. Indeed, he wanted to help his old friend fulfill his long-cherished wish, but even though he wanted to help, he couldn't just nod his head and agree without considering anything else. That's right, old man. The Jade Emperor has a good relationship with you. Talk to him nicely. Monkey replied at that moment. However, Tai-Bai Jinxing sent a screenshot in the group. The content of the screenshot was the announcement that the Jade Emperor had made in the Heavenly Court's communication group. Do you still think so now? The Jade Emperor is ready to abandon me. Tai-Bai Jinxing's tone was accompanied by a faint bitter smile. But that's good too, the Heavenly Court. I've had enough of it. If you're not in the Heavenly Court, where are you going? The itinerant immortal region? Yu Lao also replied suspiciously. Immortal region? So what if he went to any of the 3 lower realms? I'm preparing to return to the God world. If you're willing, I can bring you with me. Of course, not now. Tai-Bai Jinxing calmly replied. At this moment, he had already made up his mind. It was impossible for the Jade Emperor to send troops to eliminate demons for him. However, after waiting for hundreds of thousands of years, he finally could not bear to wait any longer. He wanted revenge. Even if he couldn't borrow the power of the Heavenly Court, he wanted to use his own method to hunt down the demons. To offer sacrifices to his wife and son. Everyone in the group turned silent, while Yi Zichen was also deeply shocked. Tai-Bai Jinxing wanted to return to the divine realm. Could it be that the divine realm still existed during the great war of gods and devils? Ding dong. System quest. Agree to Tai Bai Jinxing's request and help him slay demons and return to the celestial realm. Anytime. Long-term mission. Mission reward. Divine Blood X1, Divine Marrow Cleansing Pill X1. The system issued another mission, but this time, Yi Zichen did not dislike it at all. Eradicating demons was also one of his wishes. Helping Tai Bai Jinxing fulfill his long-cherished wish did not conflict with his thoughts at all. Fellow immortals, I wonder. Tai Bai Jinxing was also a little hesitant at this moment. He knew that his request was a little too much. Even though the demon race had suffered great losses in the war with the god race, they were still the former leader of the 6 realms. A starving camel was still bigger than a horse. Perhaps there were still supreme-level experts after the immortal king realm in the devil race. If fellow immortals find this difficult, I won't force you. Just pretend that I didn't say anything. Yi Zichen sighed softly. Just as he was about to leave the group, Yi Zichen sent a message. I can help you. Tai Bai Jinxing, who was about to leave, smiled wryly when he saw the message. He knew of Yi Zichen's identity. He was just a mortal. In terms of fighting ability, he couldn't even compare to the Heavenly Court's heavenly soldiers. All of a sudden, Tai Bai Jinxing started to imagine how great it would be if this young man was truly a great deity with the title of Sky Sovereign. That was what Tai Bai Jinxing thought, but the others in the group did not. Canopy Marshal, Sky Sovereign is actually going to help. God of Fortune, I can already see the trembling of the demon race. Yu Lao, Tai Bai Jinxing, Sky Sovereign's help might be of help to you. Erlang Shin, only idealism. Bro, you're not joking, right? If you help, then I, your bro, won't refuse. Monkey King, hee hee, if Brother Nameless helps, then I, Old Sun, will join in as well. Old Lord Taishang, aha! If Sky Sovereign wants to help, then I, Old Sun, can't descend, but I can support you guys with pills. God of Fortune, if that's the case, then this little deity is weak, but there's no problem with financial support. Canopy Marshal, then what do I, Old Pig, do? How about I help as well? Tai Bai Jinxing never would have imagined that nobody responded to him in the group. However, the atmosphere in the group instantly changed with just a simple sentence from Yi Zichen. This young man actually established such a deep friendship with the deities of the heavenly court in a short few months? This sovereign isn't joking. Eradicating the demon race is this sovereign's wish as well. Yang Jian also knows that I am fighting against the demons right now. If Tai Bai wants to hunt down demons, then we can become comrades. Yi Zichen replied plainly, while the others all expressed that they would help. At the same time, a sincere message also appeared in the chat between Yi Zichen and Tai Bai Jinxing. Thank you. The 2 simple words contained too many complicated emotions for Tai Bai Jinxing. This was the first time he saw the color of his future after so many years of going from the god race to the heavenly court. It was filled with hope. You're welcome. After replying to the message, Yu Lao in the group replied once more. All right, then it's settled. Those who can fight, do it. Those who can back up, do it. This old man will also run a shop in the heavenly court to support you guys. But the problem now is, how is Tai Bai Jinxing going to get out of the heavenly prison? Tai Bai Jinxing should be in the heavenly prison right now, right? Yes. Tai Bai Jinxing smiled wryly, then looked at the tightly locked prison door. I am indeed in the heavenly prison right now. There are plenty of heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals guarding me outside. Then that's the problem. How are you going to get out? If you can't, then it's pointless to say anything else, Yu Lao replied very calmly. Erlang Shin, Yang Jian, immediately spoke up. I'm the head of the Heavenly Court's Security Department. I'm the head of the Heavenly Court's Security Department. How about I order those heavenly soldiers to withdraw? No. Tai Bai Jinxing replied before anyone else could reply. This old man appreciates true Lord Erlang's kind intentions, but if you let me out, then it will definitely drag you into it. I'm completely prepared now. The heavenly prison can't trap me. Oh? Great deity Tai Bai, do you have something up your sleeve? Yang Jian asked in confusion. He knew that the heavenly court's heavenly prison was filled with seals. It could be said that even a fly wouldn't be able to escape after entering, let alone such a huge person. The secrets of the heavens cannot be revealed. Tai Bai Jinxing replied with a smile in the group. After exchanging a few more sentences in the group, everyone went back to their own business. At that moment, Yi Zichen also put his phone to the side, while feeling rather comforted in his heart. If Tai Bai Jinxing joins in, then his path of slaying demons will be a bit easier. Of course, it might also become more difficult, but at the very least, he won't be alone. Yi Zichen rubbed his head, then looked up at Xianyuan Xiang, who had a smile on her face. Chapter 431. Awakening. Xianyuan Xiang raised her eyebrows with a smile, then pinched Yi Zichen's cheek. Not bad, little fellow. You're going to trick Tai Bai Jinxing from the heavenly court? I'm not tricking you, Yi Zichen smiled, then said with determination. The demons are my mortal enemies. Even without Tai Bai Jinxing, I'm prepared to fight the demons to the end. He could think of the innocent people who died when he closed his eyes. It could be said that he had the same past as Tai Bai Jinxing. The demons must be eradicated, regardless of whether it was for revenge or to let the souls in his heart rest in peace. What was most intolerable to him was that after his friends were killed by the demon race, he had once looked for King Chu Jiang of the underworld to help him investigate their reincarnation, but the result of the investigation was that there was no such ghost. That meant that they never returned to the underworld after they died. Everything was unforgivable. Alright, you've grown quite a bit recently, Xianyuan Xiang smiled. Xianyuan Xiang smiled faintly, then said, Tai Bai Jinxing seemed to have mentioned the God Clan. If there's a chance, you must pay a visit to the God Clan. Back then, Emperor Huang Xianyuan missed the opportunity. I know, Yi Zichen nodded. He would definitely go to the God Realm in the future, but he hadn't even gone to the 3 realms yet, so how could he even think about the God Realm? Don't say that anymore. Didn't you have something you wanted to tell me when you returned from the other world? You've got a pretty good memory, kid. Xianyuan Xiang chuckled. I thought you'd forgotten all about it. I care a lot about any information regarding the demons. Yi Zichen's gaze turned solemn. Especially since the otherworld was able to open a hub with the modern realm. Alright, actually, what I wanted to tell you was, did you feel the demons' monsters evolving? Xianyuan Xiang raised her eyebrows. Evolving? Yi Zichen frowned. To be honest, he really didn't feel any signs of the demons evolving. Those crawling monsters were still at the level of being insta-killed. Even those big guys were no match for him. However, what was worth noting was that the big guy was much taller than before. Looks like you didn't notice. Xianyuan Xiang smiled faintly, then raised her eyebrows. Just now, when I went with you to the other world, I discovered that among those monsters, there was that human immortal. When he was fighting with you, I could feel the changes inside him. What change? Yi Zichen asked. Transformation. Xianyuan Xiang narrowed her eyes and replied. His insides are currently undergoing a transformation, and he's also gaining sentience. At that time, you dealt with him rather quickly. If you had delayed for another hour, that monster would have gained the ability to think. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. He really hadn't noticed that. It was not good news for him that the monsters of the Devil Clan could already develop spiritual intelligence. When he was unconscious, his opponent's attack could be said to be a reflex, but if he had the ability to think, then his advantage would be gone. What you need to do now is to hurry up and improve your strength. Xianyuan Xiang spoke up once more. You need to understand that the demons you've encountered are merely abyssals. You've never seen the true soldiers of the devil race. Boom. Xianyuan Xiang's words caused Yi Zichen's expression to change. That's right. I've never truly fought against any demons. I've only been bullying the abyssals, that's all. I was so proud of myself when I dealt with the big guy, but Xianyuan Xiang's words woke me up. I've fought against the demons before when I followed the Yellow Emperor. Their demonic steeds and warriors are all rather strong, and there are plenty of talented people among them. Don't let your guard down. I understand, Yi Zichen replied plainly. Yi Zichen replied indifferently, then his expression darkened. That demon emperor should be one of them. The deep helplessness I felt when I fought him. Even though my strength has increased, if I fight him, I still don't have any chance of winning. A sense of urgency rose up from the bottom of his heart. Yi Zichen rubbed his throbbing head, then revealed a solemn expression. All right, it's very late. Don't think too much. Rest well. Only when you have enough energy will your strength increase steadily. Xianyuan Xiang patted Yi Zichen's head, then pointed at the center of his eyebrows. Go to sleep. Another half a month passed by in the blink of an eye. During this period of time, the connection between the other world and the modern realm showed signs of wear and tear. Wei Chen continuously led the members of the organization to the places where the abyssals appeared. It could be said that the modern realm was not peaceful. At the same time, something huge also happened in the heavenly court. Tai Bai Jinxing left the heavenly court, returned his celestial position, and resigned from the heavenly court. The moment this happened, the heavenly court was in an uproar. This elder, who always had a smile on his face, had always been the heavenly court's good guy, the main butler. They could accept any deity in the heavenly court falling out with the Jade Emperor, but they did not believe that Tai Bai Jinxing would actually leave the heavenly court. However, reality proved that he did. Ding dong. Ding dong. Ding dong. After Tai Bai Jinxing left the group, many deities suddenly appeared in the red packet server. God of Thunder, Mother of Lightning, Pagoda-bearing Heavenly Kingly, All-Seeing Eyes, Clairaudient, Third Prince Neza. The people who were once active in the Heavenly Court's chat group all came over. Of course, they did not request to join, it was Tai Bai Jinxing who invited them. God of Thunder, Tai Bai Jinxing, why did you leave the Heavenly Court? Mother of Lightning, why did you leave just like that? You don't even want your celestial position anymore. Pagoda-bearing Heavenly Kingly, Tai Bai, you were too impulsive. You have less than 10% of your strength after your celestial position is taken away. Where can you go to live in peace? I found out from the Jade Emperor that you want to get rid of demons? Can't you just tell me directly? I have 100,000 celestial soldiers and celestial generals under me, all-seeing eyes. The heavenly court without Tai Bai is a mess. Wind-catching ears, exactly. No one cares anymore. Third Prince Neza. Then what about Grandpa Tai Bai's cultivation experience? Do I leave it for the next person to inherit the celestial position? Yi Zichen smiled brightly when cultivation experience was mentioned. Tai Bai Jinxing was no idiot. How could he leave his cultivation experience behind? What's more, the beneficiary of all this, F*CK, 10 billion cultivation experience. Lousy didn't F*King count it wrong, right? Yi Zichen sat on the chair and stared at the cultivation experience balance in the treasure chest on his phone. Tai Bai Jinxing had transferred all of his cultivation experience to him before leaving. It was like he had inherited a rich person's inheritance. Yi Zichen instantly turned from a chicken to a phoenix. 10 billion. Chapter 432. Bye. Treasure shop. Bye. What fiery eyes of truth, body-freezing art. He would buy everything that was available in the treasure shop. Previously, Yi Zichen felt that the treasures in the treasure shop were too scammed. There were so many treasures that he could only look at but not use. But now, he simply felt that, hurry up and give me a mission so I can unlock the third floor. Otherwise, it would be too much of a pity if I can't buy anything with this cultivation experience. Ding dong. Would you like to use Fiery Eyes of Truth, Level 2? The secret scripture will disappear after use. Ding dong. Would you like to use 72 transformations, Level 2? The secret scripture will disappear after use. Ding dong. Would you like to use body freezing art Level 2? The secret scripture will disappear after use. Confirm. Confirm everything. Zoom. His body was constantly releasing golden light, flickering non-stop as if he had activated a special effect. A sea of information surged into his mind, causing the smile on Yi Zichen's face to brighten. Transform. Pa Yi Zichen's phone fell onto the bed, causing a buzzing housefly to appear in the room. Ha ha ha, too cool. The housefly laughed excitedly in the room. At the same time, Yi Zichen chanted in his heart. Fiery eyes of truth, activate. The room seemed to become transparent, causing the structure of the room to appear in front of him. Yi Zichen flew around the room excitedly. Not long later, in front of his eyes, Snow White. Big. Yi Zichen, who was still in his transformation state, instantly shot through the air. He covered his nose in fear of it bleeding, then looked up and saw Xianyuan Xiang looking at him with a faint smile. Little brother, is big sister that pretty? Her smile contained a hint of threat. Yi Zichen tilted his head and acted like he didn't know anything, then walked beside Tenor and picked up the building blocks. Tenor, did you have fun? Yes. Tenor nodded with a giggle, while Xianyuan Xiang smiled faintly behind him. Are you feeling guilty? You dared to do it, but don't dare to admit it? If you saw it, then so be it. It's not a big deal to me. With that, Xianyuan Xiang walked over with her fists clenched. Although she always teased Yi Zichen, it was purely because she thought it was fun. If Yi Zichen dared to take another step, no, half a step, what do you want to do? I'm your master. Are you going to hit me? Yi Zichen smiled faintly, his tone laced with threat. Master, how could I hit you when you're already so good at it? I just want to caress you. Yi Zichen subconsciously gulped as he walked over with a giggle. Freeze! Xianyuan Xiang, who was walking forward, suddenly stopped in her tracks. At that moment, Yi Zichen also walked in front of him with his hands on his waist, and shook his head proudly. Come on, hit me. Are you kidding me? Do you think I'll let you bully me? Come. My face is right here. Try hitting it. As he acted cool, Yi Zichen was overjoyed. It was good to have cultivation experience. To get such a large amount of cultivation experience from Tai Bai Jinxing was really amazing. If it wasn't for this cultivation, he wouldn't have been able to buy so many secret manuals, and he wouldn't have been able to use the fixed body art to act cool. Unbeknownst to him, while he was acting cool, Xianyuan Xiang, who was frozen in place, had a faint smile on her face. Slap. Xianyuan Xiang slapped his face. Yi Zichen was instantly stunned. He looked at Xianyuan Xiang, who was smiling at him, in shock. No. Aren't you immobilized? Why can you still move? I don't know. Why do you think I can still move? Ziz, who was so cocky in front of me just now and even told me to hit him? Since you asked like that, then I can only satisfy you. Xianyuan Xiang smiled gently, then clenched her right fist. Dong. A huge sound instantly sounded out in the Yi family mansion. In less than a minute, Xiao Yumei and Tian hurried over and pushed open the door. The moment they entered, they saw Yi Zichen sprawled out on the floor. Zichen. Xiao Yumei ran over in a panic, and accidentally knocked over all of Tenor's building blocks. Scoundrel! Tenor stood up angrily and looked at Xiao Yumei's back. Yi Zichen quickly gave him a look. He and Xianyuan Xiang were both artifact spirits, so Xiao Yumei couldn't see them. Zichen, are you alright? Yi Zichen helped the nervous Yi Zichen up from the ground and shook his head with a smile, then glared at Xianyuan Xiang. No, I just fell. How could you be so careless? You nearly scared me to death just now. Xiao Yumei frowned, then stood up with a coy smile. Yi Zichen glared at Xianyuan Xiang, then smiled. Alright, don't worry. Let's go out. Yes. Tian nodded gently and left the room. However, before she left, she blinked her bright eyes and looked around the room once, then skipped after Yi Zichen and company. After going downstairs, Mother Yi asked about what happened just now. After explaining it to her with a smile, she and Xiao Yumei went to the kitchen to prepare food. After this period of interaction, the relationship between Mother Yi and Xiao Yumei had become that of a daughter-in-law and a mother-in-law. Tian sat on Yi Zichen's lap, while her bright eyes were filled with curiosity. "Daddy." Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows with a smile, then caressed her hair. "What is it?" Nothing." Tian giggled, then jumped down from his body, ran in front of the television, grabbed the game controller, then ran back. "Play games?" "Sure." After playing games with Tian in the living room for half an hour, Yi Zichen subconsciously took out his phone and took a look. There were still plenty of deities entering the red packet server. The number of people that were originally in the single digits was now close to 100. As for the messages in the group, they were all asking about why Tai Bai Jinxing left the heavenly court. Seriously, this geezer. He pulled people into the group, but who knows where he ran off to, Yi Zichen silently retorted in his heart. While he was cursing in his heart, his phone rang. "Little friend, this sovereign is about to descend to the lower realms. I will land at XXX. Can you come and pick me up?" "No problem," Yi Zichen immediately replied. After confirming the time, he took a jacket from the clothes rack and ran out. "Zichen, food is about to be ready." "I'm not eating." "This child." Mother Yi shook her head, then returned to the kitchen and smiled helplessly towards Xiao Yumei. "It seems like it's just us three again." Xiao Yumei merely smiled warmly in response. She was already used to this sort of situation. On the other hand, when Tian saw Yi Zichen leave, she pouted and chucked the game controller onto the floor, then ran up to the second floor. She tiptoed and grabbed the door handle. Chapter 433. Descending into the world, snowflakes filled the air, covering the ground with a white veil. When Yi Zichen looked over, all he could see was pure white. The people on the streets were all wrapped in thick clothes. Only a leather jacket like Yi Zichen could resist the cold, but the old man beside him. The old man seemed to be over 50 years old, while his hair and beard were the same color as the snow. However, what shocked Yi Zichen was that the old man was only wearing cloth clothes. "Ha! I didn't expect the abandoned land of the heavenly court to have developed to such an extent. This is truly shocking." Tai Bai Jinxing exclaimed softly as he looked at the tall buildings and the endless stream of people. "At that time, before this land was abandoned, I loved this land the most. I like the snow here, it feels very beautiful." "Old man, stop reminiscing about it. Tell me, what are your plans for descending this time?" "What other plans can I have?" Tai Bai Jinxing raised his eyebrows. "I naturally came here to rely on you. Now that I don't have a celestial position, I have less than 10% of my original strength. I am at most a mid-stage human immortal. Oh yeah, give me back the cultivation experience I gave you before." With that, Tai Bai Jinxing took out his phone and acted like he was waiting for Yi Zichen to send him a red packet. "Wait, I didn't hear it wrong, right? This geezer was asking for cultivation experience just now." Yi Zichen looked at him in confusion. "Wasn't the cultivation experience for me? Why does he want it back? Why are you looking at me like that?" "Send the cultivation experience over to me." Tai Bai Jinxing shook his phone. Tai Bai Jinxing shook his phone. Yi Zichen immediately frowned. "Isn't this cultivation experience for me?" Tai Bai Jinxing instantly revealed a speechless expression, then raised his eyebrows. "Are you kidding me? That's 10 billion cultivation experience. Give it to you. Do you think I'm stupid?" This sudden attack truly caught Yi Zichen off guard. He had already spent a lot of cultivation experience, and now this geezer actually came over to ask for it. "I thought that I became rich just now. F***ck, after all, he was just passing by." "Send it." Tai Bai Jinxing frowned. Yi Zichen coughed and scratched his head. "Can you connect to the internet then?" "What's wrong with that?" "Sigh, I really can't connect it." Tai Bai Jinxing was stunned. Then you should study the problem of this network. When you're done, I'll send it to you. Otherwise, even if I send it to you, you won't receive it. Yi Zichen already knew that he definitely couldn't connect to the internet. Erlang Shen and Yang Jian couldn't connect when they descended, so it would be strange if this geezer could. If he couldn't do it for the rest of his life, then his cultivation would stay with him for the rest of his life. Then, the cultivation would be his. Before he could fantasize enough, Tai Bai Jinxing, who was beside him, suddenly spoke. All right, now that we have internet, send me your cultivation experience. Pooh. He almost spat out a mouthful of blood. He raised his hand and snatched Tai Bai Jinxing's phone, glancing at the network on it. F***CK4G. What the hell is this? How can this old man's phone connect to the modern world's 4G network? What did you do? I just happened to feel the existence of a network nearby, so I changed the code and connected. I made the Heavenly Quartz network, so it's very simple to steal some from here. Tai Bai Jinxing said with a smile, then pointed at the social media app on his phone. I'm logged in. Send me the cultivation experience. Hee. Don't even think about it. Yi Zichen gripped his phone tightly. There's no such thing as returning something that is in Laozi's hands. Little friend, what do you mean? Tai Bai Jinxing smiled, but his tone contained a hint of threat. You want to tell me that this geezer can't get this 10 billion cultivation experience back? That's right. Yi Zichen replied without blushing. Then he squinted his eyes. Xianyuan. Io, what are you doing? I was taking a shower just now. Xianyuan Xiang appeared in front of Yi Zichen barefoot in a bathrobe. Tai Bai Jinxing was shocked when he saw her. The artifact spirit of a divine artifact. Little friend, don't think that you can fight over treasures with this old man just because you have a divine artifact, right? Although this old man returned the celestial position, my strength is not something that you can compare to, Tai Bai Jinxing snorted. Tai Bai Jinxing snorted with a smile. Yi Zichen smiled in response. 10 pieces. No reaction. The little fellow that would usually come out whenever he called her didn't come out this time. 10 pieces. Stop calling. If that little fellow plays with building blocks, he'll easily get trapped. Xianyuan Xiang stretched lazily. Xianyuan Xiang stretched lazily. Suddenly, the bathrobe on her body disappeared and was replaced with normal clothes. If you want to fight, I'm enough. Hey, old man, don't you dare bully my little brother in front of me. The 3-leaf lotus mark on Yi Zichen's eyebrows lit up, while Xianyuan's sword, which was on Yi Zichen's arm, also flew into her hand. Ha! A purple nether demonic energy suddenly appeared in everyone's line of sight. What's more, that familiar ha sound. Yi Zichen turned his head and saw several slimy monsters crawl out from a corner of the road. Xianyuan! I noticed it a long time ago. Xianyuan Xiang raised an eyebrow, and a beam of sword chi flew towards the 2 monsters, turning them into mist. This. Tai Bai Jinxing did not dwell on the issue of cultivation, low-level abyssal. After fighting with the devil race for so many years, Tai Bai was very familiar with these monsters. Yi Zichen nodded noncommittally, then frowned and snorted. These guys actually crawled out. How did they enter the modern world? Tai Bai Jinxing frowned in confusion. Doesn't the modern realm have self-protection measures? Shouldn't they be in the dimensional realm? It was supposed to exist in the other world, but these guys bit open the barrier. Yi Zichen replied with a frown, while Xianyuan Xiang's brows knitted tightly together as well. Don't waste any more time. Hurry up and kill all the guys inside. Otherwise, just then, a few more cracks appeared in the space, and the slimy monster kept coming out. Bang bang bang. As Xianyuan Xiang continuously waved her sword to kill the demonic creatures, Yi Zichen also frowned. Someone needs to guard this place. Someone needs to keep an eye on this place. You stay here and kill any monsters that come out. Then what about you? I won't be at ease if I don't protect you. Xianyuan Xiang frowned. Yi Zichen merely gave her a comforting gaze. Don't worry, I'll be fine. As soon as he finished speaking, he took out the Otherworld Pass from his treasure chest. Chapter 434. His Highness, stop joking around. Yi Zichen was completely stunned the moment he entered the Otherworld. All he could see was a black mass of low-leveled slime abyssals and huge abyssals. What's going on? It's only been half a month. How did the abyssals here develop to such a scale? Weren't Wei Chen and company repairing and hunting during this period of time? The low-leveled slime abyssals continuously bit at the barrier between the Otherworld and the modern realm. What was even more shocking was that the huge abyssals had already started to carry weapons in their hand. Bone clubs, blades. What's more, their movements were very organized, as if they were the supervisors of the low-leveled slime abyssals and were supervising them. They actually developed to such a scale? What have you guys been doing all this time? Tai Bai Jinxing's eyebrows were about to fly up into the sky. At that moment, his expression was extremely dark. Then, he quickly clenched his fist and muttered, "The Jade Emperor didn't listen to me. The Jade Emperor won't listen to me and send troops. If things continue like this, the modern realm will fall one day. After that, the three realms will be the ones suffering." Roar! All of a sudden, an angry roar sounded out from the huge abyssal's mouth. They seemed to have noticed Tai Bai and Yi Zichen's existence. Not long later, one of the abyssals with a bone club walked towards them. "Who are you guys?" Although the abyssals did not speak very fluently, they did say a complete sentence. At that moment, Yi Zichen was truly shocked. Monitor and speak. Did they really gain intelligence in such a short period of time like Xianyuan Xiang said? Brat, we can't keep wasting time like this. The abyssals in front of us are already close to becoming high-leveled abyssals. They should be between the early stage and mid-stage of the human immortal level. It was very hard to imagine that Tai Bai, who had a deep grudge against the demons, would actually say retreat. It was clear that he felt pressured when facing such a large number of abyssals. How are we supposed to retreat in this situation? Yi Zichen squinted his eyes. At that moment the huge abyssal also spoke up. Don't get in our way. Leave. Or die. Attack. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows, then a golden light appeared in his hand as he swung it towards the abyssal. Dong. In an instant the abyssal's chest was pierced through, and it fell powerlessly to the ground. A spiritual array also appeared beneath Tai Bai's feet. According to the ancient runes above the spiritual array, he was standing in the leaf fire position burn. A light chuckle came from his mouth, and not long after, streaks of heavenly fire descended from the void, incinerating the group of low-level abyssals. Roar! The two of them had only launched a surprise attack. After dealing with the giant abyssals and the low-level abyssals, the surrounding abyssals all raised their heads and looked over. The group of low-level slimy abyssals immediately turned around and crawled towards them as they chanted some strange runes. They were so densely packed that it was as if they had startled the beast tide. Behind them, the footsteps of the giant abyssals also echoed loudly. 1 yuan. In a situation like this, he could only use Soul Pearl Yuan's area of effect skill, but he forgot that Yuan hadn't followed him here. He had called out its name before, but there was no response. Intruder! The giant abyssals roared, then swung the rusty iron sword towards Yi Zichen without any hesitation. Move! Tai Bai Jinxing pushed Yi Zichen away from the attack range, then the spiritual array under his feet changed, from fire to gold. Break! Tai Bai Jinxing's white beard fluttered in the wind as he chopped down on the giant abyssal's blade. Ding! The blade was instantly cut in half. Then, the spiritual array below him returned to the Tao fire position, causing streaks of terrifying heavenly fire to descend from the sky. However, what was unimaginable was that the giant abyssals actually noticed where Tai Bai Jinxing wanted to attack. A protective barrier immediately appeared around Tai Bai Jinxing, blocking all of the heavenly fire. Horror! The slimy monsters continuously surged forward. Tai Jinxing frowned, then glanced at the giant abyssals. Can you fly? Can you fly? If we continue fighting like this, those low-level abyssals will bite us to death. Whoosh! With that, a pair of wings appeared on Yi Zichen's back. Tai Jinxing's expression drastically changed when he saw the wings. You, don't think too much into it. I'm not a demon. As for why I have these wings, we'll talk about it after we deal with them. Yi Zichen squinted his eyes. The abyssals were evolving way too quickly. In a short span of half a month, they actually gained basic intelligence, and some of the giant abyssals were even able to use defensive spiritual technique. If I allow them to continue growing like this, I wonder if they will evolve into true demons. However, the moment Yi Zichen unfurled the fallen's wings, the abyssals that were attacking them all stopped, while the slime monsters that were crawling forward also stopped under the fallen's command. What is it? Tai Jinxing and Yi Zichen looked at each other. Not long later, an abyssal holding a bone club that was 50 meters tall walked out, knelt on one knee, and placed his right hand in front of his chest. Your Highness, I didn't know that you were here. Please do not blame us for our rudeness. The other giant abyssals also knelt down on one knee. As for the low-level abyssals, they breathed out purple air in confusion and did not move. Yi Zichen was also shocked. These abyssals actually called me Your Highness. It seems like they already thought that I'm a demon. Don't deny it. At this moment, Tai Jinxing suddenly flew to his ear and whispered, Fallen devils don't evolve into demons. After all, their intelligence is limited. They see you as the highness of the demon race, so we'll just make the best of it. If we really fight, I'm not confident. Yi Zichen nodded heavily. He naturally understood all of this. He flapped his wings and flew a few meters forward. As he flapped his wings, the huge abyssals lowered their heads even more, as if they were afraid in their hearts. I didn't expect you to recognize me. The huge abyssal leader looked up. I wonder why Your Highness has come here? I'm here to see if you guys are working hard. Yi Zichen squinted his eyes and snorted coldly. The abyssals on the ground quickly shook their heads. Your Highness, we have been working hard. Chapter 435. Gu appears rebellion. The abyssals did not even dare to think of such a thought. The moment abyssals appeared, they would be branded with a mark that they could not rebel against. It could be said that they were the most loyal amongst the demons. Your Highness, we have no intention of rebelling. The leader of the huge abyssals looked up with bloodshot eyes. Yi Zichen merely snorted in response. You're still saying that you don't want to rebel? I saw a murderous glint in your eyes just now. You wanted to attack me, right? Do you want to kill your master and take over the throne? Your Highness. Stop calling me Your Highness. I think you just want to rebel. If you have the ability, then kill me here right now. Otherwise, I'll immediately return to the demon race and tell the higher-ups that you abyssals want to rebel, then I'll kill all of you. All of the abyssals kneeling on the ground lowered their heads in fear. As for the leader, he looked up and clenched his teeth. Don't worry, I won't be able to kill you. Meanwhile, the leader looked up and clenched his teeth. Your Highness, how can you believe that I don't have any intention of rebelling? Do you even need to ask me? Yi Zichen smiled. Only dead people are trustworthy. If you are truly loyal to the demons, then you should know what to do. According to Tai Jinxing, this abyssal was the strongest amongst the group of abyssals, and also the one that posed the greatest threat to them. If they can use this chance to get rid of it, then it will be much easier for the two of them. The abyssal clenched his teeth and kneeled on the ground. After reaching the level of a high-level abyssal, he already possessed the ability to think. He knew very well that if he died, then all of his hard work would be for nothing. But if His Highness wants him dead, then how could he not die? All right. If Your Highness wants me to die, then I'll die. He raised the bone club in his right hand, which started to glow with a faint purple light, and swung it towards his head, dong. Did I succeed? Yi Zichen stared at the huge abyssal below him, only to see that the huge abyssal was still kneeling on the ground, while a young man appeared beside it. Yi Zichen, your methods are truly despicable, the young man said playfully. He snatched the huge abyssal's bone club and chucked it to the side, then looked up at Yi Zichen in the sky. You want to use this kind of method to kill them? Yi Zichen, I can't believe you've already learned to play dirty in just a few days. Your Highness Gu. The abyssal that was about to pledge his loyalty looked up in shock. At that moment, Gu Li also smiled. Qiu Yi, don't think that just because he has wings, he is a demon's highness. He is at most a traitor of the demon race. Traitor? The huge abyssal looked at him in confusion. Gu Li nodded. You won't understand if I make it too complicated. Let me tell you this, he's an enemy of the demon race. Gu Li, you want to use them to kill me? Aren't your methods despicable? It was clear that the abyssal did not understand the situation, so Yi Zichen said that in order to confuse the abyssal and make it not know who to listen to. TSK, I didn't expect you to make some progress. Gu Li sneered and shook his head, then smiled at the abyssal. Fine, you don't have to deal with that traitor. However, you should be able to sense that the person beside him isn't a demon, right? Yes. The gigantic fallen demon leader nodded noncommittally. Very well, then go and deal with him. I have some things to talk about with this fallen highness, Gu Li smiled sinisterly. Gu Li smiled sinisterly. The huge abyssal hesitated for a moment, then stood up from the ground and let out a strange cry. The group of abyssals immediately let out a strange cry, while a pair of transparent wings grew out of the slimy monster's back and flew towards Tai Bai Jinxing's direction. Don't worry about this, old man. Kill that fallen. Tai Bai Jinxing clenched his teeth, then turned the spiritual formation under his feet into a wind position, while the huge abyssals and low-leveled abyssals all chased after him. Come down and have a chat? Gu Li squinted his eyes. After not seeing him for several days, his hair had already turned purplish-red, while his skin had also turned bronze. A hint of red light could be seen in the depths of his eyes, while dense demonic energy surrounded him. However, the only thing that did not change was his sinister smile, as well as his face that made others want to punch him. Sorry, I don't have so much to say to you. With that, the silhouette of a huge dragon appeared behind Yi Zichen and roared. So annoying! Xianyuan Xiang held the Xianyuan sword in her hand, and continuously chopped down the abyssals that crawled out from the cracks in the surrounding space. Although the abyssals were weak, they had an advantage in numbers. What's more, as more and more cracks appeared between the otherworld and the modern realm, she felt like she was running for her life. What's more, she was worried about Yi Zichen's situation. Freach, several tens of black MPVs stopped. Wei Chen jumped out in a silver robe and ran in front of Xianyuan Xiang. Xiangjie, why are you here? You guys finally came. Yi Zichen already entered the otherworld. He told me to stay here. Since you guys are here, I'll leave this place to you. I have to return to his side. Xianyuan Xiang's tone was filled with urgency. Xianyuan Xiang's tone was filled with urgency. Wei Chen nodded noncommittally. I've already reported this to the relevant local department. All the residents here will be evacuated later. When that happens, you don't have to suppress your abilities anymore. Brat, not bad. Xianyuan Xiang patted Wei Chen's shoulder. Then I'll be going back now. Zoom. Xianyuan Xiang immediately disappeared from the modern realm. At the same time, Wei Chen also called out to the surrounding members. Follow the original plan and carry out the mission. Bang. After the short exchange ended, both sides retreated to a safe position and looked at each other cautiously. During this period of time, Yi Zichen's strength had increased to a terrifying level. Even the dragon god had called him a monster more than once. However, Yi Zichen did not expect Gu Li's strength to be on par with his, and even seemed to be suppressing him. Yi Zichen, not bad. Gu Li smiled sinisterly, but his heart was also in turmoil. He had paid a certain price for his current strength. Yi Zichen squinted his eyes. This time, he did not wait for Yi Zichen to attack, and attacked first. F***ck off. A feminine shout suddenly sounded out in the air. Not long later, a shining Xianyuan sword appeared between Yi Zichen and Gu Li. Xianyuan Xiang, why did you come? Outside? Wei Chen and company already arrived. I was worried that you would be in danger. Xianyuan's sword continuously swayed. At that moment, Gu Li suddenly smiled coldly. Divine artifact? Seriously? All of a sudden, a thick mist appeared beside him. At the same time, a playful smile appeared within the mist. Chapter 436. Chiyu Sword. A man's voice sounded out from within the mist. However, the words caused both Xianyuan Xiang and Yi Zichen to be stunned. He actually knows Xianyuan Sword's sword spirit. When the mist dissipated, the man walked out. He was approximately 1.7 meters tall, wore a black robe, and had long hair that draped over his shoulders. His skin was white, and his eyes were long and narrow, with purplish-red eye bags. There was also a symbol of a ball of fire at the center of his eyebrows. A faint smile appeared at the corner of his mouth, and he raised his hand to touch the corner of his mouth. You're so alluring, I really can't help but want to eat you up. Dio. Xianyuan Xiang suddenly came out from the sword. Her eyes were filled with unconcealable rage, while she clenched her fists tightly and trembled. Even when she's angry, she's still so charming. No wonder I'm infatuated with her. Du licked the corner of his mouth with his red tongue, then swept his venomous gaze across Yi Zichen. Heh. Is the person beside you the Yellow Emperor? Heh. Xianyuan Xiang snorted coldly, but did not reply. Dio smiled, then his gaze turned cold. What an annoying guy. If it wasn't for that damn Xianyuan, you might have already been mine. But since you're still following him after so many years, it seems like you're also someone who gets played around with rotten. With that, Dio glanced at Yi Zichen. How is it? Xianyuan Xiang is living well, right? You actually can't bear to give up on her after so many years. She must have served you very well, right? Z's, humans and sword spirits are saved from trouble. At least you don't have to be responsible for her, right? You can go find her whenever you need her. It's rather convenient. Shut your dog mouth. Virum. A ray of sword energy suddenly slashed across Dio's face. Although he had already dodged immediately, it still left a mark on his face. Shrewish. Lousy likes it. Dio touched his face, then walked in front of Gu Li. I don't need you to do anything this time. I will use my full strength to kill that Yellow Emperor and steal Xianyuan's sword for me. Sure. Gu Li nodded. Xianyuan Xiang's eyes widened. She looked at Gu Li in shock, then squinted her eyes and walked in front of Yi Zichen. Who is this guy? Yi Zichen squinted his eyes. That grandson's blabbering had already angered him a bit. He is the sword spirit of the Chiyu sword, Dio. If I'm not mistaken, the person holding the sword should be the reincarnation of Chiyu. I really didn't expect that the two of them would be together again, but they are still a good match. Xianyuan Xiang snorted lightly, her tone filled with disdain towards them. However, Yi Zichen was not so calm. Chiyu. Doesn't that mean that Gu Li is my destined enemy? In the blink of an eye, he suppressed the shock. This was good as well. They were already standing on opposite sides, so there was no room for reconciliation. He was benevolent enough to spare Gu Li's life, but Chiyo's reincarnation was enough reason to kill him. Shua. At that moment, Xianyuan Xiang had already returned to Xianyuan's sword. The sword rose into the air and circled around Yi Zichen. At the same time, Dio also disappeared. Then, a black longsword appeared in between Gu Li's eyebrows. The sword was surrounded by a black mist, and it was obvious that it was not anything good. Xianyuan Xiang, are you ready to enjoy this lord's attack? While Dio talked trash in Chiyo's sword, Xianyuan Xiang also controlled Xianyuan's sword to fly to the front and snorted. If you were half as strong as you are when talking trash, then Qiyu wouldn't have lost so badly back then. That's because he's useless. Dio snickered without any hesitation. Being soft-hearted at the very end, then it can only be said that he deserves to die. Xianyuan Xiang ignored it and said to Yi Zichen in her heart, "No need to be soft-hearted. Kill them. I would have done it even if you didn't say that." Yi Zichen raised his hand and held the hilt of Xianyuan's sword. All of a sudden, a blinding golden light shone around Yi Zichen's body. A faint aura of an emperor surrounded him, causing even the purple mist in the other world to disperse a bit from his golden light. "Brat, don't hold back either. Kill him for this lord." Boom! Black mist emanated from Gu Li's body, and the mark of a flame gradually appeared on his forehead. The black mist and golden light occupied the two sides of the other world. Both sides were accumulating power, and neither of them attacked recklessly. Crack! A pebble was unable to withstand the pressure from both sides and exploded. At the same time, the two of them attacked simultaneously. Clang! The swords clashed mercilessly, while Yi Zichen glanced at Gu Li coldly. Sword slash, 8 directions. Instantly, several streaks of sword energy appeared around Gu Li and flew towards him. He kicked Yi Zichen's chest, then retreated rapidly. "Break!" Yi Zichen quickly waved Chiyo's sword in his hand and slashed all of the sword chi into the air. At the same time, a cold smile surfaced on his face. Ghost domain. Countless howls sounded out. Yi Zichen looked up and saw countless crying little ghosts leaping towards him. "This is an illusion. Yuan, this child, he's not here when I need him." Xianyuan Xiang shouted from within the Xianyuan sword. However, Yi Zichen merely closed his eyes without panicking. Since it's an illusion, then it's a technique to confuse the eyes. It's fine as long as I don't look. Here. Yi Zichen, who had his eyes closed, suddenly turned around and slashed behind him. Gu Li, who was about to launch a sneak attack, cursed silently, then raised his sword and clashed with Yi Zichen's sword. "Nicely done, little brother." Laonyang caught them. Xianyuan's sword's spirit smiled excitedly, then instantly shone with a bright golden light. Gu Li coughed up a mouthful of blood and was sent flying backward. Biting his lips hard, he raised the sword in his hand and stabbed it deep into the ground. Even so, he still flew back several tens of meters before stopping. "Brat, hold your breath. Laozi will transfer my own power to you," Dio roared angrily within the Chiyu sword. If it was in the past, Gu Li would have already nodded in agreement, but this time, he merely wiped his lips and charged over with bloodshot eyes. "Why should I be weaker than Yi Zichen? We both have divine artifacts. Why should I be weaker than Yi Zichen? I reincarnated as Chiyu, but Dio reincarnated as the Yellow Emperor. Why should I always be weaker than Yi Zichen no matter what? I am the main character of this world. Yi Zichen is only worthy to be a stepping stone for me." Virum. As if the Chiyu sword in Gu Li's hand felt his determination, the sword spirit Dio also felt the energy that Gu Li continuously transferred into the blade. Whoosh! Chiyu sword continuously wave. Not long later, a huge beam of sword chi shot out from the blade. Chapter 437. Chapter 437. Su Yun's strength. The sword energy pierced through the air. It was so powerful that even the space itself seemed like it was about to be sliced apart. The pebbles on the ground continuously exploded, turning into dust that followed behind the sword energy like the tail of a comet. "Yi Zichen, dodge!" Xianyuan Xiang shouted from within the sword. Even she felt her heart palpitate when she felt the presence of the sword energy. It was clear that Yi Zichen had already grasped the basics of illuminated sword heart. That sword intent was able to increase his strength by more than 10 times. "Yi Zichen, what are you blanking out for? Move aside." Xianyuan Xiang was extremely anxious when she saw that Yi Zichen was not moving. She practically wanted to use her own strength to drag him away. Don't move. At that moment, Yi Zichen spoke up. Hearing that, Xianyuan Xiang immediately shouted angrily in his sea of consciousness. What nonsense are you talking about? Do you want to block it? Aha, Yi Zichen nodded. Yi Zichen nodded, then slowly raised his arm with the hilt of his sword. Hey! Don't be stupid! Xianyuan Xiang shouted. If Yi Zichen really blocked it, then both of us would be screwed. Don't be scared, Yi Zichen smiled. A faint smile surfaced on Yi Zichen's face. He suddenly looked up at the sword energy that was gradually closing in on him. Is this your determination? Yi Zichen shook his head, then sighed. If this is your determination, then that is truly too disappointing. Boom. A berserk aura was suddenly released from Yi Zichen's body. The sword spirit Xianyuan Xiang was also stunned when she sensed it. This, even a complete stage human immortal would not be able to match that. I chose to bear countless sins in order to obtain Xianyuan's sword. You are far from being able to match my determination. The light on Xianyuan's sword's blade became brighter and brighter. Then, Yi Zichen looked down with a profound look in his eyes. Slash! Yi Zichen instantly swung Xianyuan's sword and released 100-meter-long sword energy. The moment the sword energy appeared, the mountains and rivers of the otherworld shattered, while cracks appeared on the ground. Break! As Yi Zichen roared, his sword energy sliced through Gu Li's sword energy without pause, then continued mercilessly towards Gu Li. I'm impossible. Gu Li's eyes twitched violently as he shook his head. He refused to believe that his resolute sword energy couldn't even withstand a single blow. Hurry up and run, what are you standing there for? Dio roared angrily within the Chiyu sword, but Gu Li had already completely lost his mind. F***ck. Dio cursed angrily, then controlled the Chiyu sword to leave Gu Li's hand. He did not want to die together with that retard. Haha, as a sword spirit you actually abandoned your master, truly shameful. A playful chuckle sounded in Dio's ears. Before he could regain his senses, he was already caught by someone. At the same time, that person slowly walked to Gu Li's side and looked at the sword energy. He's grown up. Suddenly, a huge palm appeared in the sky, grabbing the sword chi and crushing it with all its might. Hey brat, come back to your senses. Only then did Gu Li return to his senses. When he saw the young man in front of him, he immediately grabbed the young man's pants and shouted, Kill him! Kill him! Kill that guy! F***ck off. Why am I so annoying? The young man kicked Gu Li away, then turned towards Yi Zichen with a smile. Zichen, long time no see. Suiyun. This time, Yi Zichen's expression was very calm. He looked calmly at the man standing 100 meters away from him. Even now, I still don't believe that you would truly join the demon race, but it seems like I have no choice but to believe it. Hee hee, you're still so friendly. Suiyun smiled and shrugged. I came for this brat this time. I heard that he's a fallen, so the demons are very worried about him. I have to bring him back safely. I don't think that's possible, Suiyun smiled and shrugged. Yi Zichen smiled, then walked forward step by step. However, before he even walked a few meters, he felt like he was bound in a space. Yi, you should understand me. I won't fight a battle I'm not confident in. I already placed a seal around you when I came. Formation Master, you truly aren't just for show. Amazing. OL3, you've become stronger. I've always been strong. Alright, let's not waste any more time. This person. I'm taking him away. Suiyun grabbed Gu Li's collar with a smile and prepared to leave. Bang. The moment he turned around, a huge sound rang out in the sky. You're using the same old trick again. Do you think I'll fall for it again? Yi Zichen smiled and walked over with Xianyuan's sword in tow. As he walked, he continuously waved the blade in front of him. These were all seals left behind by Suiyun. Suiyun suddenly laughed. He did not place any more spiritual formations, and merely waited silently for Yi Zichen to walk in front of him. You leave, you leave. Yi Zichen raised Xianyuan's sword and pointed it at Gu Li, who was sitting limply on the ground. You still want to let me go even now? Su Yun smiled wryly. However, Gu Li snorted with a frown, don't bullshit with him so much. Su Yun, just kill him. He is the reincarnation of the Yellow Emperor. Can Xianyuan's sword prove everything? Laozi doesn't recognize Xianyuan's sword. Bang. He kicked Gu Li, then raised his head and said, Don't worry about me. Is Su Yen doing well? Thanks to you, she's lying very peacefully in the ward right now. Yi Zichen's hands trembled slightly as he said that, but he forced himself not to show it. Is that so? She's actually still alive. Su Yun smiled sinisterly, but his words touched Yi Zichen's nerves. Are you King human? Still alive? She's your little sister. I said it already, she's not my little sister. Su Yun squinted his eyes, then grabbed Gu Li, who was on the ground. That's it for now. I'm rather busy with the demons, so I don't have time to waste with you. Bye. Do you think you can take him away? Yi Zichen took a step forward, then noticed that he was already 100 meters away from Su Yun. They were clearly very close just a moment ago. F***ck, he's gone. Yi Zichen clenched his fist angrily. Just as he was about to chase Yi, see you in the future. Bang. Yi Zichen smashed his fist onto the ground. He did not expect Su Yun's mastery of spiritual formations to be so high. He was actually able to lay down such a formation with just a few words. Phantom Maze Formation. This is a spiritual formation that only a level 6 formation master can lay down. What's more, even they would need spirit stones and time to lay it down. Your friend is a bit too ridiculously strong. Xianyuan Xiang also came out of the Xianyuan sword and sighed softly.